let me tell you the beautiful maneuver I pulled yesterday and why it's so beautiful. So, here's something I hate. I hate when people come to like a dinner event or a party and then try to take some shit with them on the way out.
Oh.
Like if you get offered.
Like in Tupperware?
Yeah. Like if you get offered, totally different, right?
Yeah. Because Thanksgiving we're always like, take everything.
Correct. And if you, and if somebody's like, you know, look, like, you bring a case of beer or whatever, and you're like, look, nobody's going to drink this. You know, you might as well take it. That's different. But to me, one of the most classless things you can do is bring something, and then on your way out, you're like, all right, do you mind if you pack up can I get into and have, I'm just going to take the things I brought. Just so. When we left yesterday, Laura was like, we left the box. And I was like, you're goddamn right we did. The box of wine.
Oh.
And I was like, and she was like, what do you mean? And I was like, well, because if they don't want it, Kris will bring it tomorrow. But if they do want it, we get to be classy.
With a box of wine.
So it worked out in my favor.
I brought you the box of wine this morning, but standing, and I'm saying this where everybody here is standing.
Operating procedure?
Yes. SOP going forward. If you bring wine to my house, take it back with you.
Take it back with you.
Because we're not going to drink it.
Cool. And that puts me in the clear. You know, but I never had to be that guy behind closed doors. Like, can you believe that motherfucker took it right back with him? Didn't
Took it right back.
Took it right back with him.
It was more of a, God damn it, they left the wine here again.
Let's see. So, I have a number of discussions I want to have today. I think it'd be good. I do want to talk about last week real quick. Look, I know Gary's a bit much. I know it. I don't have Gary on every week. Because he's a bit much. I can only say this. I had a fantastic time last week.
I feel like you have to be here.
Yeah. I laughed harder than I've laughed in a very long time. And so here, it's an interesting dynamic, right? Because it ties back into the YouTube stuff. It ties back into a lot. Commission work as well. If someone, okay, so let's say that you make a diorama, right?
Okay.
And people show up to Skullfest or perhaps Brofest, and
no one's invited to Brofest.
You pick a name out of a hat, and they win this diorama.
Okay.
Do they get to complain about it?
You'd hope not.
That's how I feel. Like, if I consume free content all the time, right? YouTube.
Sure. I think we all do.
Yeah, right? It's part of it. It's part of, but like my general thing, like I listen to podcasts, right? And some I enjoy better than others. And some episodes I'm like, ugh. And sometimes they have guests on that I'm like, I listen to like a Star Wars podcast. I don't want to put it out there because I don't want to shit on anybody, right? But they have this one friend, and this guy, he's just like I just feel like if I saw him, I'd want to give him a wedgie. You know, like there's just something about him that's just fucking pisses me off, like a little twerp. You know,
twerp.
You know, and when he's on there, I just simply, I just erase the episode.
I like your '80s John Hughes movie disses.
You know what's funny, man?
Catalog those.
I mentioned twerp recently. Not that I'm trying to bring it back, but somebody else was like stopped on it. You know what I mean? Like,
no, you don't hear it anymore.
Because you don't hear it anymore.
It's like, you know, when you see a group of girls, like, look at all these broads over here.
Oh my God.
You know, one time I said broad and I was angry. Long story short, or short story long, perhaps, knowing nerd rage. I was driving, and there was a car behind me. And I was coming up on a stop sign, and there was an attractive woman, voluptuous, attractive woman, jogging in jogging wear that didn't look practical. Okay? Are you following?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I was like, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be a problem. And I came to this stop sign, and sure as shit, the guy smashed right into me from behind because he was looking at this woman. And it's not the woman's fault.
No,
but I didn't know where to put my anger.
Right.
So everybody got a little bit of it. But I used that term around my mother-in-law telling that story right after it happened. And I always wonder when stuff with her comes up, I'm like, I wonder if that's playing a part in it, which is probably just my own paranoia. But anyway, back to this podcast. So like, that's kind of my thing. It's changed my perspective in a lot of like the Patreon shit has changed my perspective in a lot of ways. Cause like if the Patreon folks were like, look, we don't want any more of this, whatever this is, we don't want it. I'd be like, you got it. Cause you're paying for a service and I'm responsible for making you happy regarding that service. So I guess the long and short of it is that like, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? If somebody, even this show, right? Like if this particular show, if people are like, you know what, it's just meh, just a meh ass show. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. I don't. What do you want from me? You start paying for it. You know what I mean? Like just like anything else. Like I don't feel like anybody has to make me happy if I'm watching it for free. You know what I mean?
That's fair.
It's kind of my thing. Now, when I'm paying for something, that's when I get pissed, right? Like I go see Birds of Prey, and now I'm like, I'm pissed. You know what I mean? That was,
and time.
It was a fucking $30 experience. Yeah. I could have bought a DVD, Joe.
You could have bought DVD, yes, with your universal remote.
Yeah. So look, the truth is at some point Gary's going to be back because I just like having him every once in a while,
and we have a good time.
And I had a
in
blast.
The room.
I had a blast. So, and to be fair, I also get the people that are like, that do write in like, I could listen to this guy talk for hours or whatever. So it's just like anything else. He's like a Howard Stern type of person. I feel like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're gonna love him or you're gonna hate him, and I understand both. But if you knew him in real life, you'd love him because to know him is to love him, and he's the type of guy that would, he'd go to the end of the earth for you. What else? How was your nerd week, Joe?
Dude, I don't know why. First, I just got an email notification from UPS this morning. Module case is literally on its way. They have a live map. As I walked over here, they were in Frederick.
Oh,
so
yeah, no, really.
And so,
and what was the order date for that?
I don't know. Nice. You guys work that out?
Practice.
Yeah,
he came early today.
just the vibes.
When I moved, it was like half a year, I guess.
Half a year
after I moved in.
I thought it was Black Friday, like 2018.
No, I got those.
Okay.
No, it was after I moved because I had to measure the house.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, there was no reason for me to get these cases if I didn't move in here. So I moved in here in
May?
I didn't really move until June because I came back from Japan.
That's right. So
I couldn't have ordered.
It was right around Skullface.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
So it's 9 months, basically. 8 or 9 months.
Yeah, something like that. Because we had to work at measurements and stuff, and by the time like the order finalized was end of June maybe. So 8 months. And that's including delays from the Hong Kong riots and then coronavirus and all that shit.
Yeah.
Still got here though.
Yeah. Heard there's a vaccine for it.
America, I think, made it. USA.
Dude, go home. Go team. You know what I mean?
And
where's Q Neil Diamond at home and play Coming to America right now? Today.
My parents love Neil Diamond.
Oh, God, mine too. My dad especially. I can't tell you how many times my dad would put on Love on the Rocks just to set the mood.
What's your favorite Neil Diamond song?
Probably Love on the Rocks because it's the one I heard the most growing up.
Mine's Caroline.
Yeah, that's great too.
Bum, bum, bum.
Who doesn't?
Yeah.
So and it's kind of a joke too because my mom's name is Carolyn, but she gets called Caroline all the time. So just kind of as a joke, my dad would torture her with that. So we played it a lot.
When we moved out to Frederick, in a more country area, Laura is most often called Lori or Laura or Lauren. Like, they don't want to call her Laura. It's interesting. Culture. To me. They love a Lori.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
No Laureline?
No Laureline. But I do think that Lori, for her, is her Bob.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Sets her off. Winds her up tight.
Nice. Well, I'll probably be here while they're unloading, so good luck, Krista.
It's exciting though, right?
It's very exciting. It's like I don't know when the fuck I'm gonna put them together, because I keep taking fucking work hours, and then also have my Ohio trip next week.
Right.
Like I'm supposed to have tomorrow off, and then I agreed to some hours. I'm supposed to have next Monday off, and I agreed to some hours. I'm a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
It's like I don't even. Well, we always need money, right? But I don't even need the money anymore, because like I don't have double mortgage anymore.
Right.
So I'm like, after I sold the house, I'm like, I'm gonna take some time off.
Right.
Yeah.
That's working out fucking great. 6 days a week. So yeah, haven't done too much other than chill at home, getting back in the routine after last weekend. It's weird how like one weekend of something different just throws me the fuck off. Like, cause I have a whole eating and workout schedule and everything like that that's planned by the day. So like having one day shifted, I'm like, it takes me a whole fucking week to get my shit back together.
Isn't that weird? Like, routines are so like hard to get in place and so easy to get rid of. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of a tattoo.
This is true.
Yeah.
I had a great time last night.
Yeah. God bless. Fantastic.
Yeah, the food was great.
Yes.
Company was great. Dude, I tell you, all your kids are great. All 6 of them. There's 6 of them. Yeah, 6 of them.
Carry the one.
And but every time I see y'all have to parent, I'm like, I'm glad I'm the fucking parent. It's just so hard. Just like with the dishes thing last night, man. I wouldn't know what to do in that situation.
Yeah, I got done though.
Yeah, like I can't tell a kid what to do.
So it's
Did you notice I asked everybody to go downstairs? Like, hey, why don't we go? Because some people have more, social anxiety than others. So
for sure.
I get it. I have that.
The problem that I have is maintaining this. It's like you have to have a little bit of all of these relationships. Mm-hmm. Like you have to have a little bit of the buddy, and a little bit of the advisor, and a little bit of the mentor, and a little bit of the disciplinarian, and a little bit of
that's hard to balance.
It's hard to
because I know
balance.
I've seen people who are like too friendly with their kids and they can't tell them what to do, and some people who are too strict. And I'm like, well, it doesn't seem like you have a good relationship at that
Correct.
point.
And like I've tried to instill certain things, like I had this thing where if it's just you and me in the car, all bets are off. You can use whatever language you want to use. You can say whatever you want to say. All bets are off. The moment that puppy the parking brake gets put on, we're back to business. You know what I mean? But the rules are clearly defined. But like sometimes, I lean on them so hard because they fuck up so bad that like I almost want to go back later and be like, we're still friends. you know what I mean? But you can't do that either because it needs to mean something. Uh-huh. So like I try to little things like I'll lean on them and then I'll make dinner. And they're like, I didn't know I was gonna get dinner. And I'm like, look, you fucking up never changes the fact that I will be responsible for you. Make sure that you were fed and clothed and have a roof over your head and all of those things. In terms of how easy your life is with those 3 things, that depends on what you do. Mm-hmm. But it's hard. It's hard, and it's like you don't want to ruin a good relationship. Especially like I hate the days when you and one kid are like in the lane, like you guys are just in the same pocket, like everything is going great, and then they fuck up. Yeah, and you've got to ruin it all.
Yeah,
because it sucks for you. Like, because as a kid, you don't realize that like it sucks for your parent. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna discipline you. Because I always remember it being like kind of like jarring when like they would be disciplining you, right? Like they'll yell at you or whatever, and you're like fuck, and then you see them talk to their friend or whatever, and they're all friendly. I'm like, that's kind of fucking weird.
Yeah, this is yeah.
And then like as an adult now, I see it like because we'll be chatting, and then you would go off when somebody does something, and you yell at them, and then we go back to chatting.
Yeah,
it's like it's weird, and I have a hard time not paying attention to kids because like
because you're
the baby,
because you're the same height.
To you, we are the same height.
Fair.
Like when Leia wants to play or Selena wants to play, I always shift to that, and I feel bad when I have to like, look, I gotta go hang with adult people now. It's the same with like Charlie. Charlie likes to hang out. Mm-hmm. He likes to hang all the time, and then like when you tell him to like, look, we're doing our own thing, and I feel bad.
You shouldn't.
Like if I was like, I feel like if I was a parent, I would be like, just always just hanging out with the kids and doing what they want.
Well, it's just that kids will
They will rob you of all your time and energy
Correct.
if you let them, and you have to learn how to manage through that.
Correct.
Because I'm not always around, so I don't get that part. But like, I just feel bad. I'm like, man, he wants to hang out, and like, we have to tell him to leave, or we tell him we don't want to do that right now. We're not hanging out with you. I'm like, damn, that's kind of.
Was there anybody? And I know your family dynamic is different because of the origins of your family, but like
Joe KW Origins now on Netflix.
Secret Origins. But like, was there anybody in your family that was like a special presence? And like when they're like, oh,
Sure.
so and so is
my aunt, my mom's closest sister in age, and her husband. Anytime they come over, or we go over there and spend the night and stuff, and it was always special. Yeah.
And when you think about it, at least for me anyway, when I think about like I had an uncle that was that way, and like. We had he would like come in the room all of a sudden. He'd be like, whatever time it was, like it's 10:15. You know what that means? And we'd be like, what does that mean? He'd be like, it's wrestling time, and like, you know what I mean? Just like but like when I think back on it, really logistically, he wasn't spending every moment with us. Yeah, it was these short bursts, but they were special. Yeah, we never wanted him to leave the room.
Yeah, my dad worked with a guy named, I remember his name was Ken. That he was I guess he had moved to whatever town we were living in at the time as a bachelor and didn't really know anybody. So he came over for dinner a lot, and we'd always, roughhouse and stuff. I remember that too. Looking forward to Mr. Ken coming over. So,
and I think it's harder for men in general than it is for women. Like Adam used to say that like the 9 to 5 job for a man is like maybe set up by design to keep men away from the family, you know what I mean? For enough time to like come home, have the special moment. You give one kid a noogie, you kick the other one in the butt, you know what I mean? And you pick the one up and you throw him on the couch, you eat dinner, you go to bed. So this interaction is short, brief, fun, and over. And I think there is something to that. I'll tell you, it has been challenging because of my work schedule and my wife's work schedule, the amount of one-on-one time I've had with my kids, which I hope that they appreciate. I've appreciated, but it doesn't mean that it's not challenging. And
that's too much?
Yeah, and that you get worn down to a fucking nub sometimes, and it's like...
I know my wife gets the we were talking upstairs about Leia's favorite person, and my wife gets it from both the younger two. I mean, they're literally like side-saddling her all day if she lets them. Like,
yeah, I don't know how my wife does it either.
She'll tell me... and she'll tell me, I need a break, and I'm like, it's fine, I'll help you out, but you can also say no.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's hard. It's hard to do. I get it.
And I tell my wife sometimes, like I've had too much kid time. Like I need something. Whatever it is, and it could be like, luckily now with them all in school, at least on Tuesdays and Thursdays, my wife works half a day on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so like we've been trying to do stuff from like 12 to 3. To just have adult time. Mm-hmm.
And that's that. And I think that's a big key to it as well, is to have, a space where it's just you and your spouse's space, where you guys can have some time alone, and it's kind of I don't want to say the words, but I'll use the term safe space. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a child-free zone, or at least during certain times that people aren't running in there and asking you.
Yeah, our room is that way.
Yeah, I mean that's something we're working towards doing ourselves. But I broke my crayon. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care. And that's the tattling is oh my gosh. Ridiculous,
but like it's
just ridiculous.
Oh my god, they're snitching.
Oh man, that's what
I got 3 Tekashis.
Well, I don't know. Last night we were sitting down for dinner, and Charlie had walked up and asked Kelly, and so I peeled off and I said, "What's wrong?" It's like they're being mean. People are being mean to me. I'm sure it's your sister. So I go in there and I say, kind of to the room, don't be mean to each other. Get along. Do whatever you're doing, unless someone is on fire or bleeding.
I heard
don't
you
come.
say that.
And then you know what Jana said? What about vomit?
Perfect.
I don't know what I probably said something along the lines of, I'm going to let you just handle that. No, I said just swallow it.
She's always looking for the loophole.
Right.
Always an angle with that kid.
Right.
Anyways,
yeah. So that was cool. Family times. Family friends.
Delicious food.
I love it. It's great.
Did that mess with y'all at all, digestively at all?
Nope.
So this morning, I had an appointment in the bathroom.
Yeah.
I said that last night. You're like, no, it's not gonna be a problem.
and it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, it was smooth as silk, but but
Anything out of ordinary, I guess.
yes, the shrimp felt the same way coming out as it did coming in.
I got you. I think it was the salami that probably got me. That the fatty meats on that one thing.
I'm so thankful I don't like. I'm not because a lot of people do. Have some things set some people off. Like most,
But I don't. I can't tell you that. Oh, I can't eat.
Right.
I mean, I could like the sausage at Burger King. I won't make it to wherever I'm going if I eat it in the car.
Really?
Yeah. But I haven't had it for years. So, but I know I just don't get sausage from Burger King.
That's smart.
Yes.
You're not like the people with gout who insist on eating shrimp.
Right. Or any sort of
Right there.
seafood. So.
But I don't have many flare ups.
Great discussions. Most people there enjoy anime, except for the two of you.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not alone. So like, I'm not just talking to the ether.
I don't dislike anime. I just
Don't have time.
I don't want to take the time to watch it.
Yeah.
I just don't.
I understand. Just like I understand Bobby. Like we joke about it, but I understand like if it's not Bobby's, not everything's for everyone.
Sure.
Some
Yeah.
people just don't like certain things. But
Yeah.
like it's cool like that. People. I had somebody to talk to.
Yeah.
Sure.
And to be honest, I enjoy listening.
Okay. Really?
Yeah. Same thing. Like hearing people talk about the trains.
So you got kind of hype at the end with that. Ooh, or whatever
Yeah,
noise it
well,
was.
well, because
we always get into that.
yeah. Well, the thing is, and I was thinking more about that last night. And you know what it is? I mean, that's obviously a joke.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, obviously.
But like, you know what the larger point that's being made there? What I'm trying to actually say is, it's the lack of subtlety in emotion. Like sometimes I like watching. Oftentimes I like watching the face, and you see the emotion in the face, and it's like, ooh, I know what's going on there. It almost feels like a thought balloon, where Batman has let's say a Robin gets killed. Pick one, right? And
Dealer's choice.
yeah, and old school Batman from the 90s would be like, oh, it makes me so sad.
And the bubbles.
You know what I mean? But now it's just him looking sad. That's what I think I'm trying to say there, is that like, I don't need to be told how a character is feeling from the character literally. You can express that to me. I like a little subtlety. I like a little and to be fair, I even like it in conversation spaces. You're like, man, like, what was that character feeling at that time? And it's like, well, I think he was such a, like, no, look at the way he winces. Like, it's not good for him or her or whatever the case may be. I think that's what I'm getting at there.
So hang on. I want to extrapolate what Bobby just said and change the parameters of the conversation from anime to pornography. Does that card still play, Bobby?
Dude, have you watched porn on mute?
Are you looking?
Sometimes it's not good. If you watch porn on mute, sometimes it's like, oh, those are not good faces. They're like, oh, she's not enjoying this.
Yeah, so I don't watch
vinegar stroke.
So I don't watch professional porn.
Vinegar stroke.
I don't watch professional porn. But when I have watched it, sometimes I don't believe it.
Bro, if that guy ain't got a GoPro in his head, I'm not interested.
But sometimes I don't believe it.
Could you imagine looking up at that if you're the girl and be like,
sometimes
it comes down
it's
to.
too much. Like come on, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you don't have to put that much.
You just want to...
Give me a little.
Can you make that anime noise I hate?
But it's like, yeah. but it's like it's the same. It is kind of the same thing. It's like this over exaggerated thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's a bottle shaking over there. It does it to me all the time. It's the same basic principles. However, when it comes to porn, I like Wesley Pipes. I like his talking a lot.
Nice.
When he's like, "Oh, look at you, you nasty. You ain't got no type of table manners."
Yeah. I wish porn was on track, so you can just turn off dude voices. I have no interest in anything.
No, Wesley, I would just solo him. I would listen to that shit on my way to work. I remember that I was having this conversation recently, and I was like, dude, he says like the wildest shit, and I was like, I bet you there's something we can find on the internet about his best quotes. There is,
of course.
And one of them was like, "Oh, you French kissing it? You must be from Italy somewhere."
Do you think he has these things prepped?
Dude, I
think he's or does he think he's spontaneous?
He's reading them off his phone.
I think it's a natural gift, man.
He wrote it down.
That sort of talent, you can't put it in a bottle. It's real.
Hey, Laura thought that about you until you let the cat out.
Dude, that still gets to me sometimes.
So yeah, Kelly's watched every single one of my suggestions and loved them all the animes, the volleyball, the
See, and
the
I found that fascinating. Like sitting back, listening to that conversation. This is a grown woman, right, with one grown child and another child well on their way to being grown. That is in this culture, but not in this culture, right? Enjoying this very specific type of thing. Like that's not super user friendly.
Yeah.
You know?
It's,
I mean, you have
kind
to
of learning
seek
curve
this stuff
to it.
out.
Yeah, it's not. And here she is enjoying it and listening to you guys have a conversation about it. Enjoyed it immensely on my end.
Awesome.
So, and I think, I caught some of that stuff when she was like the volleyball one. I mean, they do a great job building like, anticipation and tension and it's, I was like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? I'm like, wait a minute, this is a cartoon about volleyball.
That's what I'm talking about. High school volleyball at that.
Right. But I think, and this is just me looking at it from 10,000 feet. I think the key maybe to some successful anime is the very drill down like they could do an anime about this soundboard and they could make it fascinating. Right?
They're good at
they could make 400 episodes about you learning how to do this soundboard.
It's very impressive to me, their ability to cross genres within their genre.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking about something this week. What was I talking about? I was just some random ass task I was doing or someone was doing. I'm like, I bet you there's an anime about that.
I bet you there is. Oh, at least a manga, a light novel.
Right.
And Mr. Beautiful Mind himself by Ryan Brink. I didn't know.
He just started watching it. He watched Neon Genesis.
Yes, Evangelion. And he's watched other things. He's interested in watching other things. I'm like, that's fucking great.
Yeah.
Spreading the word. Oh, and the series I've been into, but I'm currently really into because my girlfriend started playing the game with me, is Fate.
Who? Who's into it?
Chris?
Who is she?
Oh, my wife.
My wife.
I forget that. I forget that I'm married.
Pardon yourself.
It's okay.
It's weird. There's 11 years of...
Uncle Sam knows you're married.
Oh yeah, that's important.
That's the uncle you don't look forward to coming over and wrestling. Uncle Sam's coming for a tickle fight. Oh man!
I'm like, I'll be in Joe's house in that little that little nook in the movie room.
But it's very confusing to get into because there's so many series and spin-offs and alternate.
And which one is this?
Fate.
Okay.
So the watching order, if you want to try to get into it, just start with Fate Zero, which makes sense. Zero, right? Fate Zero on Netflix. And then the next one will be Fate Unlimited Blade Works is the second one.
Are you listening, Kelly? Because I'm not going to remember this.
So like anything else...
Well, he did explain it to her last night.
Okay.
Yeah, start with Zero. It's great. If you have a question, ask me after that. But it makes sense. But there's like 4 different Netflix series. 2 of them doesn't actually have anything to do with the main world. They're just alternate universes.
So is it a Netflix? Is it one of the ones they've created for? Okay.
No, it's popular. This is a franchise that's been around since 2004.
Okay.
And
which seems like 2 years ago, maybe.
Yeah, really.
Right, it does. So yeah, and anyone who has any questions about anime or what to watch, just fucking hit me up.
There you go.
There you go.
Wide open. Joe's an open book.
He really is. Joe's trying to take this to the next level. Now this may come as a surprise to some, and just look at that. Oh wait, see.
Yeah.
It's
taking a second.
This may come as a surprise to some, but Pinkerton has had a busy week.
I did have a pretty busy week. Well, I'll get my nerd week out of the way real quick. As far as from a media standpoint, it was light. I watched, and I did all this morning. Actually, I watched the Clone Wars season 7, episode 1.
What'd you think?
It was fine. I mean, it was more of the same mostly.
It was exactly what I want, though.
Yeah.
And Joe, so. And
is
I
it-
don't mean to cut you off. I'm gonna let you finish.
No, please. I knew this was going to be something we had to work through here.
All right. So I'm confused. I'm going to say this. I'm confused as to exactly what constitutes a cliffhanger for you. Now, let me say this. I know it. I know that for sure, right? I get that. And I know what isn't. I get that. But I feel like between A and B, there's like 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.4. I don't know where you draw the line within that. I think this first episode is fine.
Okay.
It wraps up, but it does
It gives you information that'll lead to
give
something
information to what's going to come in the future.
and they kind of elaborate.
That to me-
they talk about it basically the whole time, and then validate it at the end. I guess
Yeah, I mean that
Yeah.
to me, just by your explanation, sounds like it is. Like it's funny, you guys, because we had this long discussion about what is and what
Right.
isn't. Like Kelly know exactly when I was talking about the Witcher. Like that is not a cliffhanger.
Well, so I know
But some people,
I know
just-
the extremes.
I just like the end of Mandalorian. I don't consider it a cliffhanger. The guy coming out of the thing with the
Oh, you
dark
mean when
saber?
he cuts through this out of the
TIE Fighter.
when
Yeah,
the
I don't
hatch
think,
that works
yeah.
is perfectly fine.
I don't think that's a cliffhanger because like the current plot is wrapped up. They're left. He got stranded.
But
He's
it's a
still,
suggestion.
It's showing you that he's still alive, but there's nothing. No new story started from that point.
But there's a story suggestion.
Yes.
Okay.
yes,
so
that-
that's
that-
what I kind
that-
of think this
that-
episode
yeah,
is.
that's
the
all
world,
it is.
The world goes on, and more things could happen in the future. But currently,
Okay. I think you'll be okay.
Yeah.
With this episode.
okay, then I should watch it. Tonight.
Well, then we won't really dig into it. But it was.
I mean, I
entertaining.
don't. Does it matter?
It was nice.
More than
being-
that, I don't think I cared.
Well-
if you don't talk specific, like
Let's hold off since it's only like 2. And I don't think a lot of people even realize it's out that might listen.
I didn't know. I knew it was going out in February, but
Yeah,
like,
it came out Friday at midnight or something like that.
Yeah, Friday morning. Yeah, I think it's just basically an introduction of the Bad Batch. And they're fucking awesome.
Yeah,
Like they're
they're goons.
You know, and I was thinking to myself,
They're organized goons.
so you're a big clone fan as well,
Sure.
and so are you.
Yeah,
so
I
we're
love
all
clones.
in the same
Yeah,
pocket.
love clones.
After seeing the episode and having not seen the episode, this is perfect. Perfect. Would you rather get, let's say you were collecting Black Series, and let's say that you were fully committed, because I don't know where you draw the line Black Series.
Me either.
Okay.
doesn't know anything.
Shiny things.
At this point, having seen it, not seen it, would you rather get the Bad Batch or as 4 or the Republic Commando squad of 4?
The Bad Batch. Maybe because they're different. They're all different. I think that's cool.
Republic Commandos just
The 4 from
standard-
that video game that were like they were standard clones, but they were kind of like special ops. Like they were.
but there were like no character to them.
No, they had character because they had a whole video game, and they all had.
Oh,
their-
how are they on the spectrum of like? Are they like Commander Cody and Rex, or are they like
they're
some of the other name clones that just like they have names, but they're just there?
they're kind of the Rex, I would say, variety. Like,
Yes, I would get that.
yeah. So I'll be curious after next week if you watch it. I'll be curious as to if that's changed for you, because I think it's changed for me. Like, and it's just because I think it's just the way the media is introduced to me. You know what I mean? Like it was like, you know, I remember playing Republic Commando and I felt like a part of the team and all that, and I
Yeah.
liked the characters as a result. But then sitting back and watching the story as opposed to being part of the story, for some reason I was more interested in these characters, and I can't tell you why. Yeah.
I think there's something there I'd have to think about.
Right. Me
Like
too.
games I've played versus things that
Media.
You know what? You don't play much video games, but like a lot of times in games nowadays, you can make your own character, right? Yeah, and then you play through the plot as your own character. And I enjoy those games. I'm like, I want to be my own dude, you know, insert myself into the world. And then there are games where, you know, they give you a person, you are playing as the Witcher,
Right.
perhaps, and you don't get a choice. And in my mind, it's like, I want to be my own guy. But really thinking back, all my favorite things are of stories that I wasn't involved in.
Right.
Like all the Final Fantasies, all the Witchers, like I was playing, but I'm watching this things happen to this group of people, and I'm not involved, which is weird because you would think you'd be more attached when you're there.
Yeah. No,
I think in those cases where, and speaking out of my ass here because I don't play video games to speak of other than Mario Kart. And I don't ever play. Shout out to the Shy Guy Army.
I like Shy Guy.
That's what I play with. I think that a lot of the time the story may be a little bit more generic when they're writing it for Joe instead of...
Because they don't say your name.
Right. Yeah. And the plot could just be a little less detailed because there's,
because you have control.
Right. They can't say, this, whatever the named character is, tying something that happened to them in the past. They're probably not going to do that as much with your character.
Right. Makes sense.
I don't know.
Am I the only one that finds Shy Guy cosplay sexy?
No, there's like Shy Guys. No, there's lots of them.
Yeah, no, I know.
I have not seen this.
Oh my God.
There's some. Yeah,
I quite like it.
Yeah, they're not wearing anything under there, or
That's a noise they make.
yeah, it is.
Anyway, continue.
I watched that. I watched Picard episode 5, I guess.
So good. They're in space now.
They're in space. They've gone to I don't remember the name of a place. It's just like the free-for-all place where the bad guys can go,
Space station.
Nobody's chasing after them. It's free something. I don't remember what it is, but they actually got the person that they were trying to get. And 7 of 9 showed up.
Oh,
I don't know if I mentioned that. It's Jerry Ryan. She was, reformatted Borg or whatever.
Oh, okay.
And the person they were going to get was being held by this lady who basically rips Borg parts out of people and resells them, and no anesthesia or anything. So there was a bunch of drama there. And then there's very
cyberpunk.
Yeah, there's this one really mousy character that I kind of had a feeling that there's more to her than
meets
like
the eye.
it's the doctor. It's like the doctor.
We're talking about the 80s cartoon
Tell
soundtrack.
you exactly what it's about.
It's just like anime title sometimes.
Right. But she kind of showed some colors differently, so its story's getting interesting. It really is.
Nice.
It's visually the effects are really good. They're doing practical effects with some of it and some of CGI, so it's a nice mix. I did get the ultimate toy collector experience this week. I got to go to Toy Fair.
Nice. Bored out of your mind though?
Well, Energon Addict Dave. I crashed at his place, and he came and we set up the booth for Mezco on Thursday and Friday, and that's probably the most physical labor I've done in a very long time.
Really?
We busted our ass. We were there from 9 till 7, I think, on Thursday, until I think 7:30 on Friday.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, we set it up from, it was carpet when we got there to I don't know if you guys saw what the booth looks like, but put up the walls and move the cases and setting up one of those things is such it's I don't see how OSHA lets it happen. I mean, you literally can't walk because of course they're Mezco's in New York City, so they just bring stuff over in vans. Mm-hmm. But all the other big companies have pallets. Like Bandai had just huge pallets of freight that they're unloading, and their displays and the giant Gundams and everything. Yes. And it's all right there. You can't freaking walk. I mean, to get to so it's sorry listeners. So we were you guys have been to Javits Center before?
Yeah, of course.
Mm-hmm. So there's the downstairs. Yep. Mm-hmm. It's like normally the Artist Alley, I think, is down there for the New York Comic Con, but they had displays down there, booths for vendors. So here's the elevators. And no, they were here. So the Mezco booth was here. So zip, zip. Nope. It was more like zip, 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 zip.
Like a Pac-Man trail.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like IKEA. You could just walk to the exit, but you can't.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. There was no secret door in the pots and pans to cut through either to get.
Yep.
So that was fun, just to set up the booth and kind of see everything as it was getting put up.
How much percentage of the entire show floor were things that you were actually interested in?
So Saturday, we went to the show proper, and we went to the Mezco booth, and it's always complete chaos there in the mornings because they do a Toy Fair exclusive giveaway, and it's a bit of a point of contention with a lot of people, but either way, then the booth, you literally couldn't walk in the booth. It was ridiculous. But we left there and went. So there was Bluefin had a booth with all the stuff, Storm and Bandai and all the other brands they sell. They had all that stuff there. Diamond Select was there. and they carry everything really. So they had a little bit of everything out. Dark Horse was there with some stuff, and honestly, maybe to answer your question, we walked. So the floor that we had been working on, we walked that entire floor. It's a needle in a haystack, really. I mean, it's people selling bubble lawnmowers and kites and wooden toys and ball and cup and
paddleball.
Paddleball. Yeah, you don't think about like pool floats and sleds and
The stick.
right. What was that one thing a guy had? It was it's like basketballs, but they had lights in them that you can play at night.
Oh, when you bounce them and stuff? That's cool.
Yeah.
Like those- like those
basketballs
shoes?
normally bounce. So.
What does the light? Is
The lights. I guess it's on all the time.
Oh, okay. I thought the
That-
shoes that when you walk.
Yeah.
I love those as a kid.
Yeah.
I've never had one.
But the biggest, and I don't want to say it's a disappointment, but I guess the most thing that took me aback was Hasbro actually doesn't go to Toy Fair, and I didn't realize
they
that.
have their own thing.
They do their own event.
Con 3 years ago.
But they say they're Toy Fair reveals, but they're not at Toy Fair. They're at a separate venue, invitation only.
Fuck Hasbro.
Yeah, that sucks because I want to go to Toy Fair like just for the experience of it, like a check off the but the idea that they're not there when the majority of Toy Fair reveals Hasbro makes up the majority of my interest.
Yeah.
It's a bummer.
It is. And I talked to I don't know if you guys Toy Galaxy, Dan who does that. I saw him on the floor. I went and talked to him a little bit. And he, kind of a big deal in the world. He doesn't necessarily review stuff, but he runs around with I think that Pixel Dan guy who's pretty well known.
Oh, yeah.
And he said they didn't even have it. They were going on Monday to get like the private tour. But I saw some YouTube and Instagram people who I guess they were giving away a couple things. Like I think they had some people had the snake eyes in hand, and some people had the that Hydra soldier that they're putting out, which comes in a box in a bag, which I'm like, that's great. Who needs all the packaging for that? So it's in a poly bag inside of a cardboard box.
You probably have to figure out that it was a Springer or something. That's
Had open and play.
Well, that's a different. That's a different.
That shit was one step away from being in a Ziploc bag.
Yeah, it was. But now that and honestly, like
Open and play,
I
bro.
kind of had to talk Dave into going back on Saturday because he had been I think 2 years ago. He ended up going like Tuesday last couple years ago, and he was like, "Yeah, bro, it's not what you think. It's not going to be. There's not action figures everywhere." And it was I was kind of confused by it because like the booth next to us was just like it was like it looked like a gift shop at an airport's toy section but big. And I guess they're distributors, so they're trying to get people to buy stuff through them. I mean, Entertainment Earth was there. I actually talked to my rep I have there a little bit and found out that I'm he didn't come out and say it, but if you ever want to make any money on any of the stuff that we're interested in, you probably need to try to get direct with companies because like I'll give you an example, like the Mezco does Mezcos, and then Previews exclusive through Diamond does Previews exclusive Mezcos. So for me to buy those through Entertainment Earth and sell them to you at what is considered the retail price, and if I had to ship it to you, I would lose $3.
I mean, that's passing through too many hands.
It is, and that's what he told me. He's like, because we don't get a break buying it from Diamond at all. We have to pay what you pay, basically.
That's crazy.
So that was interesting to meet that guy, and I wanted to go because there's a lot of people I know from different Facebook groups that I was going to be there that I've never met before. So for me, going on Saturday was more of a intentional thing to meet people that I've never, I talk to people online all the time I've never met. I'm like, well, these, 3, 4, 5 people are going to be there. And I ran into a couple other people. I saw a couple WWE guys. I didn't get a chance to speak
always
to them.
if it's a convention, they'll be there.
Zach Ryder. No, they weren't. They were there. They weren't signing or anything. So Zach Ryder and Kurt Hawkins were. They do a podcast about wrestling figures.
Makes sense. Do you buy anything?
Well, you don't. There's nothing to buy.
Yeah. There's no sales
At all?
No, it's like a trade show.
Yeah, it's a trade show. It's
literally
literally
there's giveaways, but nothing for sale.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah, they don't sell anything there.
And the giveaways are like, just like anything else, like like it's like incentive to buy later.
Yeah. So, I mean, it was fun. I honestly, if you know, hopefully my relationship with them continues and I get to do Toy Fair next year, but I don't know if I'll even go to the show because it's other than maybe just to say hi to everybody that you know I know from the internet that's there, but I won't walk the floor again.
Yeah,
There's no reason to.
There's no reason.
Yeah,
There's
it's a bummer.
nothing there for me, and honestly,
And you didn't see anything like that was you didn't already know about, or anything that's
that I won't, you know, go through 7,000 pictures of tonight on Enter the Realm.
And sometimes it's different seeing things in person.
It is.
I mean, getting to see prototypes and stuff.
I think the
That's cool.
experience is something too. Like just to say you
Sure,
did it. You know, like,
exactly.
I didn't have a great time at San Diego Comic-Con,
Yeah, I would never go.
but the fact that like when it's brought up, I can talk about
Yeah,
it as
because you've
someone
been
who
there.
was there it is worth something.
Well, I mean, New York Comic Con for me is kind of the same. I mean, I was there on a Thursday. You know, we set up and then we were there Thursday. And, you know, walking on Thursday, you could barely get around. I'm thinking.
Yeah, it used to
on
be enjoyable.
Saturday,
I stopped going.
I couldn't imagine on Saturday, just, you know, and you know, people pushing strollers and people
Yeah, it's
in,
crazy.
you know, people
Too many
that have to
cosplays.
have wheelchairs and then cosplays and people carrying, you know, like that sword I had in my
Yep.
house, but 4 times as
Yeah,
big, and they're
yeah.
trying to maneuver through people with this. I just don't have the energy for
No,
it.
like back at like around 2010 was the best. Like, I went from 2008
Yeah.
to 2012, around that area, and then after 2012, I'm like, no, it's too much. Even when they try to cut down, like they start doing the badge scan thing to make sure there's no like randos or fake badges.
Yeah.
Like that made it a little bit better. But I think the problem with a lot of conventions in general is that they don't have a upper limit. They don't say we're gonna have 1,000 badges or whatever number, and then that's all we're gonna sell, and then we're sold out. Like
Right.
they just keep selling more badges if you keep paying. So there's too many people,
Yeah. Yeah.
which I don't know how they do because I would think there's a maximum capacity to buildings.
There is. I mean, the fire marshal can shut things down pretty
But they
much
don't.
whenever they want if they walk through and there's things aren't where they're supposed to be.
The first year in New York Comic Con they did.
But now they don't. But now it's so much worse. But they don't. Because
okay.
it's too big.
Yeah, they got their money right. That's all it is.
Right. Well, so yeah.
Let me show you something.
Because it's really like I feel like I'm in Hong Kong again.
Because the first year I was there, they shut it. They didn't shut it down, to be fair, but there was a certain they drew a line at a certain spot and was like, these people have to leave, and the doors are now closed to this building. Like no one else can get in.
You know,
you have reached capacity.
Disney gets like that sometimes. Like when I know, like around the holidays, they'll have capacity days where it's like we're full. You can stand out here and wait for somebody to leave, and then you can come in.
Yikes! Can you imagine?
But then, could you imagine getting in there and trying to? I don't know.
Maneuver.
Just a sea of people.
I might.
Yeah, that's why I get there early.
There's a possibility.
The schedule. The fun schedule.
I'm telling you, man.
There's a possibility might end up at San Diego this year, so it'll be another kind of nerd bucket list thing to check
don't
off.
announce that because you're gonna get like 80 emails. Can you pick me up?
Yeah, I know.
Let me
This
take
or
that out.
I'm just saying this table should have preference. That's all I'm saying.
It's a fact.
Well, I will tell you. I told Dave. I said, you know what's cool about this show? That won't be many people hitting us up asking them to get things. Yet it still happened. I had people hit me. Can you give me the Mexico? No,
Yeah,
I
that's
can.
not how it
I'm
works,
getting
yeah.
my own. That's it. I'm not getting anything for anybody else. I'm not because I can't. So.
Yeah, it's let's talk a little bit about some of the Toy Fair stuff. And I know you're going to go through it in great detail tonight, so I don't want to.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk about.
And shout out, shout out to Jeremy B. He actually just messaged me and said it's not done. He has to take his laptop to work to finish getting everything together.
Wow.
So bless up.
It's getting close.
Oh, and I did get to reveal 5 displays I had. We worked on the past month really, and actually had
That just sweatshopped it. to get
basically
done.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We had 6 on display, so everything we've done for them in a tower case they had on display.
So there was the tree and the bridge.
Yep,
that was
out,
there.
That was out front.
There was the staircase.
Yep,
There was the underwater cave.
yep.
There was the 2 towers.
But not
Not
the,
those
so-
2 towers.
The Marvel and the DC towers.
Yeah. What's the 6th?
What am I miscounting then? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is. Hang on. The 2 towers.
2 towers.
Staircase, cave,
bridge.
Oh, the Skull Tower. We redid the Skull Tower.
Oh, okay.
We added pipes. That was let me talk about that for a minute. So they sent it back and said, we want you to add some pipes to it and send me some reference pictures. I'm like, okay. So I had found some. I actually had some, and I bought more. I think it was.
the stuff we were looking at last night, the like straw stirring things.
So that's part of that story. Yeah. So we had. I had found some wooden dowels. I think they were 3/16 wooden dowels that I actually had. I'm like, all right, this will work. I'll go buy some more.
Not 9mm.
Right.
Okay.
Maybe. I don't know.
I'm kidding.
Anyways,
from last week's show.
We
3/16.
I went on this website and I found these connectors. I think it was like a vacuum connector that's like, oh, it's 3/16 ID, which is the inside diameter. So I ordered them. They were like $60 for I think 100 of them. It was pretty expensive for connectors.
Right.
Well, they come and they're not as pictured. And the connector actually, it's 3/16 OD, which is the outside, so it would go inside of it, which obviously you can't go inside of a wooden dowel.
So you ordered the wrong thing, or they gave you the wrong thing?
I ordered on their website what it said and the picture, and I don't know if they had it in the wrong bin when they pulled it or what, but Kelly called them and actually had to call them like 3 times, and it's like an hour, just like I'm looking for stuff. And I finally said, in my mind, I just went, click, dumbass, you can build this. So I just went home and it looked like reverse Lego. So it was a little bitty rectangle with like 3 or 4 holes drilled in it. And so you put 2 of them together to make a bracket. You could just leave them flat to make like a bar to hold it. It actually worked out really good. That was very labor intensive. And then Kelly glued it all together. So, yeah. So it was cool seeing all that stuff on display. It was like you literally couldn't move in the booth without seeing some of our stuff, which was
awesome.
Humbling, to say the least.
And the stuff with the figures on it, like it gives it a whole, like the one in particular, like the Marvel one, like it just gives it a whole different vibe, like when you see it in action.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, for me, like every little nook and cranny, I'm like, oh God, that doesn't, it's going to have 30 figures on it, you know, and they came up with they made up, I was actually part of the thought process for, The Amazing said, hey, we need some goons, because Marvel, they only have 2. They have Magneto and Red Skull. That's the only villains they have. What about some goons? And yeah. And we were kind of brainstorming about different characters that would work, and said, what about, one of us said, what about like a Netflix Daredevil painted green? That's what they did. They took some goggles and made them little bug eyes, and they worked good for the goons. So
yeah, I never noticed. Cool. I didn't notice.
It was cool to see that, yeah.
Because I don't think like, we talked a bit about this yesterday, but like taking in an image, I think you just sort of take in the whole image. Fuck, false alarm. But I think that like when you just look at it, you're looking at all of it in its totality. You're not isolating everything.
Correct.
You're not isolating the figure they're trying to promote. You're not isolating the background figures that are there for ambiance. You're not isolating the diorama. Everything is kind of working together to
it's
give
like
you
it's like
vibe.
A song, like you said.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, but so let's talk a bit about, as a Mezco fan, was there any reveals here that you were like? I mean, I'm sure you have. I'm sure there was. There probably wasn't a reveal for you.
So the Alien Predator stuff was cool to see.
Okay.
I didn't know fully that was coming. I'd heard a little bit about it, but that was cool to see the big chap and the Predator figure. It's interesting to watch the progression of these prototypes. Like the John Wick is pre-orders are I guess it's almost a year ago now. But the tailoring is getting so much better on the suits and stuff. So it's cool for me to see stuff from that evolutionary standpoint. I'm trying to think. They didn't really have a ton of new reveals. They had those 2
the apes.
So it's going to be interesting to see what they do with that going forward.
What did you think of the G.I. Joes?
So one, I was super disappointed. I actually watched Hasbro did a stream. They streamed their panel
live in the morning.
Actually, I was driving home. I just put on the audio, put it on the audio and listened to it. But they didn't reveal anything other than what we had seen already. So I had ordered the Snake Eyes, which we noticed something interesting on that. I ordered it like as soon as they put it up, and it's got a 4/1 ship date. But if you look at it now, it says 7/1. So apparently there's going to be two hits of that coming. And they showed Snake Eyes. They showed Scarlet and Roadblock first, and then they showed Duke. It's a very odd rollout. This is a very strange path to market they're taking, and they didn't show I figured they'd have at least one big, it's Cobra Commander, or
Not
it's
one villain.
Not
one villain.
I mean, they teased that, like, we got villains coming later. We can't show them to you. And if you look at BBTS, it says the case. It's a set of 5 figures. It's the Roadblock, Scarlet, and Duke, and 2 surprise figures. That's how it's labeled. So everybody's like, I wonder what it's gonna be. I've pre-ordered everything. Mm-hmm. For 2 reasons. One, I'm really interested to see how everything works, because the word I've heard is it's somewhat of a collaboration between Jazzwares and Hasbro from a engineering. That's the word, engineering standpoint, because it looks like maybe there's some different kind of swivels and stuff they're doing. But in 2 years is the 40th anniversary of G.I. Joe, which would be a great opportunity for them to really push out, the
vehicles.
Retro,
like,
carding
carded thing. If they did actual, like, more of a, I don't know if they're going to go for toy or, and then I think this is somewhat tied into that game, as we speculated, because they kept on mentioning that game during this panel.
Well, I think that's their media accompaniment. You know what I mean? Like that's
a mobile game.
Yeah, I think the Duke is fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Snake Eyes is beautiful.
Yeah,
the Roadblock is okay.
Yeah.
The Scarlet is a failure to me.
Okay.
Only because, like, I'm kind of with the shits in the idea of, like, modernizing the characters.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. But they have to have those iconic things. To me, Scarlet's like
orange
onesie, whatever that thing is, like the bodysuit is like a defining thing about her. I think if they had all that shit as it is, like space boots and all that, you know what I mean?
And all the gold accents. Like,
yeah.
Is G.I. Joe rich now?
And there's a ton of paint on them. Like,
sure.
And a ton of sculpt work on them. But if they had all that, but they just had the bodysuit, it would feel more like Scarlet.
Right.
That to me is the biggest disappointing one. Like, she's at one end of the spectrum, and Snake Eyes is at the other end of the spectrum.
No, and I get that, and I don't think they're all going to be home runs. Mm-hmm. But I'm really interested to see how everything works out with, Snake Eyes comes with extra hands and stuff.
Yeah.
But the regular ones don't.
Oh, not even the hands.
I think that's just like a Black Series figure. I mean, I'm interested to see how this plays out, because I think it's $35 for the deluxe Snake Eyes versus $20 for the standard.
Right.
Is that $15? If they offered a deluxe Duke that comes with a fishing hat and a tent and a lifeboat, one of the smaller, they did all sorts of like $5 or $6 accessories back in the day. So
I would up my purchase point for additional hands in weapons, like for most Hasbro stuff. Like, Hasbro is not a joke anymore. Like in the 112th department.
I mean, they're really going to the next level. I mean, they're doing some.
You can't find a better figure at that price point.
I mean, do you really want all the extra hands and accessories? They'll end up in like those IKEA drawers.
Well, that's what I was going to say. They look great in the box.
Well, so no, but here's the thing: is I don't want everybody not holding one gun and the other hand just in this permanent C position,
right? Or in
that's what it comes down to.
The one that kills me is a guy comes with 2 swords and trigger hands.
Right, like, right.
How many people did this go through for you to screw this up?
Like sometimes I don't even want them holding a gun. Like if they have especially like they have like weapons that have like straps. Like I just want to strap it around them, but now they have 2 hands like this just standing there,
right?
Like so like. For me, it'd be worth putting those 2 hands in the box just to have 2 fists.
So you want to be able to, and not knock by any means, but you just pose your figures the way you want them, and that's pretty much how they live the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Right. So, you want, like, I'm looking at Blanca right there. You wouldn't want him with,
trigger hands.
Trigger hands, right.
Exactly.
Or fists even for that pose. Yeah. You want him to the big claws open like he's, energizing or whatever.
Yeah.
Like Vega with that open hand behind him looks good. I mean, I think that would look weird if it was a fist or a trigger hand.
Exactly.
So to have those options, I think, would be nice. There's a Kickstarter that ended a while back for this company called Valaverse. It's a guy named Bobby Valla who worked for Hasbro for a long time, designed G.I. Joe for a long time. And he went off on his own doing this Kickstarter, and his big thing is, you want more guns and accessories? Check these out, because they did something I didn't necessarily care for so they did a Kickstarter, and then immediately as soon as the Kickstarter's over, they're like, "Oh, you guys, you can keep ordering this stuff." And here's another, and then they use another platform. Like, this character didn't make it in the Kickstarter. Let's fund this character over here on this platform. I don't know. It's very odd. I think I ordered one of just the troopers to see. Mm-hmm. I will say, based on them doing the Hasbro doing the Hydra Trooper in that poly bag, and then did you see that deluxe Hoth Rebel soldier that they're doing?
Oh yeah, so it comes with like 8 faces.
Yeah, you can make like 8 different. Yeah,
I bought 4.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't blame you.
But it makes perfect sense.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how that works out. But I think in one of those 2 pockets for your Cobra goons. I mean,
yeah, for sure.
Your officer and your trooper, and then
there's a smarter
body armor.
They figured out a smarter way to troop build.
Yeah. I like that idea.
Yeah, I do for sure.
The turtle stuff looks incredible.
You always want it.
Yeah, it looks like it look perfect. Mm-hmm. They're going to be built like a piece of shit. Every single one of them is going to be built terribly. But
you don't really care at the end of the day.
Yep, I'll be right up there. No, I don't really care, but I do care to an extent. Let me explain. Sometimes they're built so poorly, I can't even get them into the position that I want them to be in to not move anymore. Or they lack the articulation in the first place to even achieve that pose, which is another problem that NECA has. Yeah. You and I were talking yesterday. For some reason, NECA gets this pass, I feel like, with people, and I don't understand it.
It's so hit or miss, man. It's so hit or miss.
They're painted well. They're sculpted well. They're built like shit, and their articulation sucks. But because the price point, I feel like, is lower than what people would expect it to be.
Yeah.
They just forgive everything else, and I don't understand it. I recently, I've mentioned Anthony's Customs 1,000 times because I think he's a good reviewer, and I think he's pretty fair, but he's given a lot of passes to NECA stuff in the future. But I watched one of his reviews recently on a NECA product, and he was, I don't know what has changed, but like he was talking that shit where I was like, yeah, that's how I feel.
Right.
But it was free content, so I didn't shit on it. But yeah, I think that it's like the Baxter Stockman looks fucking amazing. Like they know how to sculpt and produce a figure. If they can just start getting them to market fairly, that would be nice, because I do feel like they have a distribution issue that rivals Hasbro's distribution issues.
Well, and Toys R Us going away, it hurt. Yeah, it hurt these big companies, but it hurt them. It hurt NECA. It hurt Mezco.
Bluefin.
Yeah,
I'm sure.
So
because they were just getting started.
They just gotten started, but I don't think people realize these smaller companies how big of a hit they took, because that was a big distribution channel for
100%.
For them.
100%.
I mean, I knew people who would, like, for shitty figures that looks good. And same with, like, Gundam kits, right? They're articulated. But, like, if they're like you, where they're like, well, this is how they're going to live forever, they glue the joints down.
Yeah, I don't blame them.
And like, that's, even with action figures.
I've seen people glue action figure joints.
Your problems is, like, it can't stand up and you only want it to do this pose, just glue it. It's not excusing the company. They should build shit better.
Correct.
Right. But like, beggars can be choosers, right? If you think this figure is beautiful but built shittily, you got to give somewhere.
Yeah, I think that, like, if I think I could, especially some of the figures that the joints have given up over time, I could see myself doing that, but I can't do it until I know that a shelf is done. Like it has reached.
Because you might have to repose.
Exactly, just to make room. Like they'll probably not be able to have those poses forever because. The Street Fighters, because they're in dynamic poses, and more like Chun-Li, for instance, takes up a ton of shelf space, and she probably won't be able to do that pose forever.
Yeah, her leg will probably get tired.
Yeah, that too. I don't know about her legs though, man. They might not get tired.
Yeah, you may be right. Just opening coconuts with them things.
Let me think if there's anything else that I was like a big walk away from Toy Fair. Like, not a lot of Star Wars stuff, which was interesting to me. I can't help but think that maybe it has something to do with their license being up for negotiations that they just got extended,
Yeah, like last week.
Yeah, but I wonder if they were just like, look, hold off until we get this, fine print done, and then we can get back to work on it. I don't know.
One thing that I didn't see in person, because I don't think I ever even saw their booth, was, I did, and I just was like, I didn't see that. So Spawn is coming out through the Mortal Kombat.
Yeah.
line from McFarlane, so that's supposed to be out, I think, March 1st or something.
Those Mortal Kombat figures look like dog shit to me.
Oh, they do. I mean, it's the current. It's not the old. It's like Mortal Kombat 12
11
or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's that aesthetic.
But even the job, like the McFarlane's work.
Oh,
on
yeah.
It's just not good.
I saw the new Thundercats, Super 7 Thundercats. They look really nice. Iron Studios was there, barely the furthest spot you could find. I saw some of their statue stuff. That one they've got with the Sentinel pieces.
So that's beautiful.
I mean, you could barely fit that on this 1, 2, 3,
it's
4x4 table.
It's beautiful though.
Yeah,
that
it looks great.
New York Mike is in on that.
Okay,
Where are you gonna put that?
Yeah, I don't know. That's his problem.
And so they have a Thundercat statue, which we looked at on Enter the Realm, and some of the proportions just look weird. Like Lionel's pecs, it looks like it's 4 feet long, and it doesn't look any better in person. I mean, it's definitely got a case of the angles, but
right.
I don't know. I couldn't get around that. 3A was there, or 3-0 or whatever it is.
Yeah,
now.
whatever it is. Yeah.
Yeah, man, they got some those. They're doing like, I guess they're like 18-inch tall stuff from the Transformers movies.
Yeah,
that is fucking amazing.
Yeah,
looking.
I looked at this because they're doing a larger scale and a smaller scale of it. I looked at the smaller scale Bumblebee, and it's really well done. I got to have a conversation here soon about that.
So my favorite one, and I didn't take any pictures of this stuff. I think Dave might have. They had I'm going to call it an 18-inch because that was about how tall it was. It was the Evasion Mode Prime from Age of Extinction, where he's all dirty and rusty and shit.
Yeah.
That was really nice.
Yeah, I when you look at, so like, as a fan of Flames Toys, their price point is significantly higher than these other companies that are doing similar things. Banana Force 3A.
Don't say that around.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. When you're right, you're right. And I think that Flames Toys stuff is superior, having handled it all.
Right.
But I'm not sure if it's that superior. You know what I mean? I got to really think about all this stuff and organize some notes for that conversation.
Right.
I feel like it is one that needs to take place.
I always thought I've seen the Drifting Hit, I've seen your Tornado. I mean, they're great. I just don't think I think they're overpriced.
Yeah.
Just like going to like a great restaurant sometimes. I've been to great restaurants where like the food is great, but like it's still more expensive than it is good.
Yes, and like
Ruth's Chris is like this great steak, but it's not a fucking $50 for a piece of meat.
Yeah. Well, so like, okay, so playing that out, right? Like it's like, I think Lone Star has a good steak.
Me too.
And I think Ruth's Chris has a great steak.
Yeah,
but
it's better, but it's.
But I think Ruth's Chris steak is double the price of a Lone Star steak. I'm not sure it's double as good.
Exactly.
But that's the thing. It's like, I think Flames Toy stuff should be more expensive than the rest of the shit.
Yes.
I'm not sure if it should be that much more
exactly
expensive.
how I feel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that gets into, we talked a little bit last night with Phil about the word grail and what's your grail. And, some of the pieces I have, people like, I got my grail. I'm like, no, you just saved up enough money to buy it. I don't think that's a grail.
A grail is something that's hard to find. One of a kind, a few of a kind.
I think it could be hard to achieve as well. Like if you were like, look, I think like for instance, if I was like, a 1/1 Han and Carbonite, but it's like an $11,000 piece.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not necessarily hard to find, but it is hard to achieve in terms of saving the money to do it. So I think that can be a grail as well.
I call it on my wish list instead. Because like if you think of the Grail, why is it called the Grail? Is you're searching for the Holy Grail. Like
right.
You can't find it.
If you want,
it's not available until you can reach it somehow.
You could have that piece here next week if you wanted to.
So your car, you know what I mean?
Right. But
I'm just saying it's
the challenge of it.
It's very obtainable though. That's what. So
like it's available.
It's accessible. It's not attainable.
Yeah. Grails aren't like a Grail. It's not to me anyway. It's not accessible. Like you have to luck out on, it happens to be up right now. Let me get it because I found it.
So I'm not married to this idea, and I totally get where you're coming from. But like, because the problem with it is the subjective element of obtainability, right? Because for some, a $200 figure is a hard thing to obtain, right? So, and for some, an $11,000 Han Solo is an easy thing to obtain.
Sure.
So like there's a scale there, right? So I get it. I get what you're saying, but at the same time, it's like there might just be some fluctuation person to person.
I mean, I think you could be a millionaire and have a grail because there's one piece and this guy won't sell it to you, even if you offer him $5 million.
Yes, I agree. So I'm not saying that that perspective is incorrect.
Yeah, I think it's just different.
Yeah, I just think that it could be both. Just because of the difficulty of achieving it. Like, because to me, at my kind of financial level and everything, like the Grimlock statue is a bit of a grail to me. Like in the sense where I can't quite achieve it unless I make some sacrifices, less sacrifices than an $11,000 solo, but some sacrifices. So. Yes, it's not a grail in the sense that it's hard to find or anything, but it is hard to obtain. There's a challenge; it's a different type of challenge. But but to be fair, for your point, I think that the stuff that's hard to find is usually also going to be hard to obtain. It's like the double whammy. So I would say that that's more of a grail. Like somebody's like, I want the prototype Boba Fett rocket launcher thing. Like, okay, you're in a different fucking pocket, right?
Yeah, I definitely see that. But like you just literally through happenstance coming across that. Rare piece
Crosswick for $300 that if it ever shows up on eBay it's like $1,200 and it doesn't show up but once maybe every 5 years or something.
Let me ask you this.
That was a find. That was me finding a grail in that little sense.
That's sitting in front. How much would you have paid for that day, seeing that you would have it immediately in your possession?
$800-900 maybe.
Okay, so it was like a double come up then because you found it.
And
I
couldn't believe it.
I
had a
Why
movie
do you think it was so
moment.
cheap? Why do you think it was so cheap?
Because pricing in Akiba is arbitrary. You can go back the next day and something will be priced completely different. In the same store, the same item in different spots are all different prices.
Wow.
Like I went and hunt for stuff for Pinkerton, stuff he still hasn't opened.
And for me.
And for you and for Mason. Like I went around. I didn't buy it as soon as I saw it because I kept finding them for cheaper.
Right.
And it's the same item, all sealed in box.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's part of the
I guess it's a sand
me.
and beach thing, like
it's part of the enjoyment for us going there and toys.
There's the hunting.
Yeah. It's like I know I'm going to find this, but finding shit in the nook and having found what I found, it's like, oh, you can get anything here.
Right.
One more Toy Fair thing going back. I ran into Fran from NJCC fame, and he always has on like shorts and a t-shirt, but he had on like slacks and a button.
Oh, really?
Like, I didn't recognize you with pants on, because I was literally standing next to him and wasn't paying attention. But he was saying, I guess he's been going there for years. He says, sometimes you go in these distributor booths. He's like, somebody here might have the G.I. Joe stuff. Just by dumb luck, somebody sent it to him. But I'm not gonna dig through every distributor booth and have to have a conversation, and it's just not what I'm gonna do. But I mean, I think I couldn't tell you right now that there's nothing that I consider a grail that I don't have. I mean, I spent a lot of money last year on back cataloging some Mezcos that I wouldn't say they were grails, but it was things that I saved money for and wanted. And then other people consider that a grail, but to me it's like, okay, this came out this year and you're considering it to be what was your grail 2 months ago?
I don't have one now. I had one and I have it.
Right. I'm kind of the same way. I mean, I'm not, and that was,
I think that's fair. I think that perspective is fair.
I mean, I would like to find another one so I can open. I want to open it.
Oh, okay.
I'm not opening it. I can't. Like I can't.
Well, see that some of the stuff I have on display. People have been in my house. Like, I can't believe you have that open. What? It's a black box. Otherwise, right. I want to display it. I want to walk by and look at it.
Well, at least this is a window box.
Yeah. Well,
you should have seen if you could have traded your Pokemon game for it.
Oh, right.
There you go.
I like it.
There you go.
That's why things are priced weird because people like me. I'm like, oh, that's a $20 game. It's fucking $1,000. And I think it's like maybe like thrift shop. You happens to be the guy who on duty doesn't know what he has in hand and just fucking labeling shit. Because I know a guy. At work, he goes thrift store hunting and he finds real silver and real gold and he buys it. He has like a drawer full of like
silver and gold.
Yeah, because they like stamped and shit. And like, but at a thrift store, they're like 50 cents for. He has a bunch of silverware that he's gonna melt down or whatever it is. But like, I think it's like that.
Yeah,
when it's too much of stuff, you can't categorize it all. And also, what do you think about the Flame Toys Megatron?
I think it looks great. It's
not what the one you want.
Not the one I want. Like so that's it's similar to that Prime. Like that Prime looks great, but it's not the one I want.
But it's understandable why they picked those because they're more interesting designs.
Well, especially that Megatron.
Yeah.
That Megatron is beautiful looking.
I hate to interrupt you. I'm going to let you finish, but I did leave something out of my Nerd Week. So I'm a big fan of Adam Savage. I don't know if you guys know who
Mythbusters.
He is. Mythbusters, he does Tested.
He does cosplay stuff.
Right, he does. He wrote a book, I guess last year. It's called Every Tool's a Hammer. And I downloaded the audio version and listened to it on the way.
Does he read it?
He does.
Good.
And I only read autobiographies that are read by the author, unless they're obviously deceased, and because otherwise,
especially one it read at that point.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just weird reading an autobiography from that point of view. If it's Adam Savage's
mother,
Every Tool's a Hammer, read by Bobby Skullface. And it's very interesting from a building standpoint, and kind of tells his story of how his failures in his career and how he's gotten where he is today. And I did not realize I would ever listen for an hour and a half to someone talk about the importance of making lists. But it's really put me in a different place from a organizational standpoint of. Because
my wife is.
I make lists all the time.
Well,
I have Excel spreadsheets for a lot of things.
So I think I've got
hers are all on post-it notes. I'm throwing 10 away a day. They're sitting all over the place. Bananas.
I've got a shop redesign in my head, and part of that's going to be a very large marker board to put. This project requires these steps, and just to have it all in front of. Because I'll be honest, some days when I was on the road working, which was challenging for this last one as well because I was gone a bit, I'd come home and be like, all right, I'm here on this one, here on this one, here on and I would just walk around looking at stuff, trying to... And you lose time, and you get uninterested, and so
frustrated, overwhelmed.
Yeah. It's easy to do. So I think with as much as I end up having going on, I think, taking some lessons from other people's failures, in this case the stories he's told, I think will be very beneficial to me going forward. So it's a long, I think it's 7 hours. I'm about 5.5
unabridged.
Oh yeah, it's the full version.
Yeah. For me, my we've talked about this before, but it's starting something. It's always the hardest for me. Do you take it? It's always the most difficult for me. Go ahead. Finishing it, easy. All right, well, let me talk about my Nerd Week a bit.
Yep.
So I started watching that Malcolm X documentary.
Okay.
On Netflix. It's pretty interesting. I'm going to reserve judgment until I see it all the way through. But what's fascinating to me about it is the history of the Nation of Islam in America, and how this guy Elijah Muhammad, that basically started it, how he. So it looks like, I guess in my mind, thinking about that organization, to me it was a religious organization as much as it was a political organization. Mm-hmm. It really wasn't. It was really just a religious organization. Malcolm X was a political guy, and that's part of the problem that the two of them had, is that they had different intentions. And the other part of the problem is that I feel like I have to be so careful with these sorts of conversations. You know what I mean?
Last week.
Which is frustrating. It's frustrating to not be able to speak about something openly. I mean, so let me try to frame this. Any religious organization, I feel like, maybe with few exceptions, and don't at me, I'm sure they're out there. There's a business to it.
Absolutely.
And
if you're tax exempt, that's a reason for that. You get money somehow.
Correct. And there definitely was a business to this Nation of Islam. And I don't think, and I haven't finished the series, but I get the impression that Malcolm X wasn't aware of just how much of a business it was. And had he been aware, probably would have been unenthused with the organization even earlier than he eventually became. And it seems that it was widely mishandled by Elijah Muhammad's children. That Elijah Muhammad was kind of, his intentions may have been closer, at the very least, closer to pure than that of his children. His children very much saw the dollars and cents of it all.
Right.
And it was also, that's their inheritance.
Yeah.
That's the keys to the castle that was going to be left behind. So it's a twofold thing, this series. And I got another thing, I can't wait to bitch about Netflix. It's like my favorite thing in the world to fucking bitch about. But Netflix has been doing this more and more recently with these documentary series that I think are vastly good, but I think more often than not would make a good 2-hour movie better than a 4-hour episodic show.
I have noticed their limited miniseries seems to be like, you're just dragging us out to get hours.
Correct.
Or whatever.
It's almost like the inverse, because of how the media is consumed, it's like the inverse of music streaming.
Yeah.
Where songs have gotten down to 2 minutes so that you can pack more in. They're dragging it out because you're consuming it differently.
Right.
So I do feel like it could be one movie and be done. That being said, it's a twofold front that they're kind of talking about. One is the sort of mishandling of it by the FBI because they arrested, I had no idea the intricacies of this assassination. But one of the shooters, there was 5 shooters. One of them was captured immediately. He the people in the building got to him, and the police. And this guy's probably lucky the police got to him, because these guys were going to rip him, like fucking Mussolini style, And then a bunch of the other shooters got away, and everybody it looks like from the feds was looking at Harlem, which is where the assassination took place. But you come to find out that it was probably from New Jersey. And nobody was looking in New Jersey, and they ended up locking up a bunch of people that had nothing to do with it. So there's the mishandling of it on one front, and then there's also the kind of dynamics between the Nation of Islam, Elijah Muhammad, Malcolm X, Elijah Muhammad's children, the Fruits of Islam, which is like the security, military force, for lack of a better term, like the paramilitary force that they do all the steps and the marching and all that. So that part is interesting as well. So I can see how they would want to break it up into 2 movies. You know what I mean? But I think they probably could have done it in one. I think they probably could have done it in one. It didn't need to be 6 episodes. But I'm still working my way through it, so who knows? I'm enjoying it though immensely, and I've had time to watch it because I'm still all caught up on stuff. I'm still watching this McBillionaire or whatever it is, McMillionaire, whatever that thing is, the HBO thing about the.
I have a password now, so I'm interested to watch that.
Dude, it's good, man.
Yeah,
and it's funny because as I was watching it, I think I'm 1 episode behind, honestly. But as I was watching it, I was like, God, man, this seems mobby to me. I was like, this smells like the mob. And then they're like, well, then they introduced me to our Connect, which was Joe Colombo. And I'm like, oh, okie dokie. But they were saying, what was interesting, they were saying how the mob, the big mob money makers throughout history, this is probably top 3. And they were just giving these tickets out. Like, hey, you need 10 grand? You need 20? You know what I mean? And it's nuts. It's nuts, but it's fascinating. And then I'm watching Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is fucking spectacular. That dude he can't lose. I don't know what it is with this guy, but it's still this episode that we just watched, where he bought this coffee place because this coffee place next door treated him like an asshole to him. So he bought the store right next to it and is going to make his own coffee place. Like one's like Joe's Mocha, and he opened up Larry's Lattes, right next to it. But he's like, Larry gets stuck on the dumb shit. So they're trying to get the beans, they're trying to get all this shit, and Larry's like, look, I really want to redesign the urinal. I don't like the backsplashing. I don't like the pools at the bottom. So this is where we're gonna have a walk up. He has all drawn out, and it's called the pee box or whatever. And you have to lift up this. You have to it's almost like a guillotine. Like you lift up this container and you piss into this box that's far away. And it's absurd, right? But he's got all the money in the world, so these guys are like, yeah, man, I'll build it. That's what, what I mean. So. But it's in the way it's all interwoven and every little facet of it. One thing that was funny to me was this lady, she was cold outside, and Larry was like, "Well, I have my mother's I have my mother's mink throw.
Oh no,
that was dry cleaned. We were going through her belongings. I happen to have it in my trunk." And she was like, "Yeah, So like they brought it out to her. She's wearing it. She's like, "Thank you so much, Larry." She's like, "It's just that like you don't know how much this means to me." I'm sorry. My mother, she had one just like it. And when I was a child, we were leaving a play, and her and my father got into this fight, and they were pushing at each other, and her throw ended up on the tracks of the subway, and my mother jumped down to get it, and the subway train hit her, and it's just anything that could bring me closer to her is just like. And Larry's like, "You know what? Keep it. What a touching. I'm so sorry this happened to you." So she leaves, and Larry's like, "Oh my God, like I'm just heartbroken over here. What does she do for a living? She had to leave for work. What does she do? She's a professional crier." What? Yeah, like she goes to like funerals and some acting gigs and stuff. Like he's like, I think I was just duped. So like he's trying to get it back the whole time. Anyway, spoilers. It ends with her getting into a fight with someone, and then the throw ends up in front of this truck, and she goes out to get it, and the truck fucking.
Oh my God!
You know what I mean?
Perfect.
It's just, dude. The show is just so well done, man.
Were you a Seinfeld fan?
So I wasn't, and I've only seen like one or two episodes.
That boggles my mind.
I know
he was very involved in like the first.
Yeah, he was the writer,
and him and Jerry
Costanza is him.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yes,
it
makes sense.
And it's funny because he often talks about how he was writing Costanza from his point of view more so in Curb Your Enthusiasm, and like he like constantly runs into people, and they're like, "Larry David, creator of Seinfeld?" Like, "Oh, I love Seinfeld." They're like, "Really? Who was your favorite character?" And it's like, "George." Like, no kidding, you love George. Like, "Oh yeah, what a fucking idiot," you know. Like, and he's like, it's like a reoccurring kind of theme on the show. So yeah, it's great. Other than that, I've started my dusting process, so I've got one room done.
It looks real good,
sharp, right?
That's great.
Yep.
8 hours.
Let me know what
8
time
hours.
you're going to be over. Oh.
Yeah. So that's all good. I do want to have a conversation today if we have time, but let's get through these notes. All right. And if I think of something in my Nerd Week, I almost did get into another physical altercation this week, but I think I'm going to save that for wine and cheese.
Was it reasonable and unreasonable?
I think it was reasonable.
Okay. That's all that matters.
But I'm going to say that one. So, WW3, and that's not World War III, or Wonder Woman 3. It's the Westworld Season 3. Did any of you see the trailer for this?
I saw print ads for it when I was in the city, but that's it.
Good marketing.
And I'll tell you, I watched season 1, loved it.
I loved it. I didn't watch season 2 yet.
Maybe 2 or 3 episodes of season 2.
Because I heard it wasn't good.
It's it's literally like you watch a show, and then this is almost like season 2 to me is like behind the scenes of Westworld, because you get a feel of the way everything works, and they tease it in season 1. There's other worlds, and they go to the samurai world, and there's a whole
I want to
scene
see that.
Yeah,
I do too.
But season, I don't know. I need to finish it. I guess I'll probably just start it over at this point.
Yeah, because I loved season 1, but I didn't. It was just like a Luke Cage. I watched the first 8 episodes or whatever, and I stopped because y'all said the rest of it would just be not good for you.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch season 2 because a lot of people were like, it's not that good.
Yeah. I think the first half of Luke Cage is great. Like it's the rattlesnake story.
Right.
You know, like, and when they got rid of him,
And then I stopped watching.
I never watched any of Luke Cage.
Oh, really? You should. Especially like I mean, it's probably only like 13 episodes. Like just the rattlesnake arc, which is like the first 6 episodes. It's good.
Bet you there's
As a Marvel fan,
there's probably like a Netflix 30 minutes I can watch that tells me the whole story.
Maybe.
But
I need
I'm
to do that for
interested in-
Jessica Jones season 2 because I'm still not
Still?
through that.
Yeah, I'm interested in season 3. If it's gonna make the whole thing better, then I would go through season 2 to get to season 3.
Yeah, I mean,
For
I
Westworld.
didn't see the trailer, but I'll.
So it looks like it's going to take place in the real world.
Oh, okay.
And that's interesting, like because like the city designs and everything. Like it looks like I was like, oh shit, this looks like a whole this. Why are you guys been playing around in the make believe world? This is the world that looks fucking fascinating to me. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, and their marketing like sharp, man. Like their posters and their like they know what they're fucking doing. Moving right along to other trailers. What did you guys think about this Transformers?
It doesn't look good to me.
No, why?
I don't know. I watched.
Right.
It's a weird feeling. I wanted to like it more than I did.
Uh-huh.
It's just like I wanted to watch it, but then I just couldn't make myself more interested than I was, which is not very interested.
I'm gonna watch.
I'm
it.
gonna watch it. I'm
Yeah.
going to watch it because Transformers and robots and stuff. It's down my alley. But
Right.
maybe it's not the story. I don't even know what I want from Transformers anymore. I've been so.
mean,
There's been so
I
much
don't-
Transformers shit
yeah.
and so much that I don't like. That I'm like, I don't even know what I do like.
I'm kind of in that same.
That's a conversation.
I'm kind of in that pocket with you, but the story does the way they explain the story on the Hasbro panel. It sounds intriguing. That the war, they're ending the war and trying to figure out who's who and who's the good guys and who's the bad guys. I think that's going to be an interesting story to tell if it's told. They're allowed to tell a story and not just sell toys.
It looks so. I agree. It looks good to me. Megatron's lips do not look good, but aside from Megatron's lips, it looks like there's depth to it. Like the relationship that or not relationship, but the conversation that Prime is having with, I guess, Alita 1, or I can't keep track of the toy designs, but it's like a female character and they're having a conversation, but it's not surfacey.
Right.
There's
right.
It's a deep conversation that they're having. I'm optimistic. I'm probably just setting myself up for heartbreak, but like, I don't. So similar to what you were saying, I'm not sure what I want either, but this feels close.
Mm-hmm. And I'll say this, we touched on this, I think, last night a little bit, is their last several attempts at fiction through, media was visual media, not the comics, but, TV shows or whatever. It wasn't easily digestible because I want to...
Or accessible.
Right, yeah. Either way. I don't know, and I guess that's probably what I meant more than anything, is I don't even... It was Machina or whatever.
Machinima.
I don't even know where you watched it, and I don't know anybody that watched it. Nobody in circles I'm in was like, oh yeah, I saw that. It was great.
Yeah, and I think it's because of the accessibility of it. It wasn't user friendly. You had to get an app. You had to do this. You had to, and Machinima to me sounds like something that somebody would say right before they say, yeah, see, it's the Machinima. But like
they used to just broadcast on YouTube. They're the ones who made
Yes.
the live action Street
Yes.
Fighter show, which was great. Assassin's Fist.
I don't think I saw it.
It's good.
Yeah,
like it's true to the story. And,
well, I think they are largely well received,
Yes.
like
Yes,
well regarded.
But after they moved off YouTube, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah, it's just not.
I'm not-
and I
I'm
get
not-
it. I get moving off YouTube. Like
Yeah.
you own your content. You're getting 100. I get it.
Yeah.
I applaud it, honestly. But
Except
at
if
the
you know
same
what,
time,
if
it
you
has to
can't
be
entice
easy.
people to get to it, then
Correct.
you got nothing.
Yes, exactly. You if you're going to move off of the platform, you have to have, for one, a product that people really want, and you have to make it easy.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's too many other things that are easy. Like, there's
Exactly.
too much content out there. I'm not desperate for yours.
And everybody's doing it, right? Like the big companies are doing it, right? Like Warner Brothers is going to have their streaming, and Disney has their streaming, and so everybody's doing it. It's only right for the independent younger people to start owning their own shit, which
Yes.
I'm all for. I wish I could do it.
Yes.
So I'm I'm full support, but it's got to be like almost like you can't help but fall into it.
And I think there's enough meat on the bone for them to make some intriguing stories with these existing characters, whether they're a fresh take on it or, just simply put the conflict of, Jetfire. What side am I on? Why am I on this side? I mean, that could be a very
That's a whole
fascinating
philosophical
story.
conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And, who's the bad guys don't think they're the bad guys, but
That's the best way to
Yes.
do the Decepticons is that they think they're doing what's best.
yeah.
Or at least some of them.
Yeah, and that makes it more interesting too. And some know that what they're doing is fucked up.
Yeah.
Like all of that stuff. Like there is a good merit to Transformers as a world,
Yeah.
but it
You
can't
gotta
be a
treat
toy
it-
machine.
Exactly.
the
You gotta
key-
treat
well-
it maturely.
I think we've moved past that in general.
The key
What'd you say?
the key to success in this is going to be able to have layers where kids are going to want to watch it and buy the toys, and adults are going to want to watch it and maybe buy the toys or watch it, with their kids.
Right.
I think that's going to be the key. Like you take something like the Simpsons, for example. There's a lot of jokes that and we've talked about this as a kid. You don't pick them with stuff, but there's a whole other layer of humor.
Especially watching it now, streaming with my kids in the fucking room. I'm like, holy shit. Like you know what I mean? Like, I've even noticed it to some extent with music. I mean, it was a separate conversation, but like, there's this. I'm not the biggest pop music fan in the world, but I like a fair amount of pop songs, and I love this song Right Now by Danity Kane. Like, I think it's super well done. Listening to it, I was like, it like
Wait
came
a minute,
on
Danity Kane,
like making the band Danity Kane.
They're
Yep.
around again.
No. This is old.
I thought you meant they got back
but
together.
it's a great beat, great melody, like the whole thing. Timberland did the beat, so it's fantastic. You know what I mean? Like it's all the right ingredients to make something good.
like water drop noises and shit. In the
yeah. Well, there is like these little
babies farting,
like these toms on the, you know, like it's good. So, but it came on shuffle in the car, and like halfway through the song, I was like, I'm turning this off. I'm not comfortable with the content of the, you know what I mean? Like, but it was something I never thought about, you know, until I had to think about it, you know, like, to circle back just a bit for the Transformers shit. I do feel like, it is going to portray Megatron as more of like a power to the people kind of guy, which I feel like is the most interesting way to approach his character.
Instead of a mustache twirler.
Yeah, exactly. And, some of the stuff with Ultra Magnus and little,
you know what? Well, I something I remember is him and Prime having a non-surface conversation about what are we doing and how are we going to get out of this.
It's similar to Yoda saying like, you know, when Mace was like, I'm not sure we could win this war, and Yoda was like, I'm not sure anyone can win a war. The more we're in it, you know, like that's a larger conversation there, and I feel like you said, like they were getting to something there. I'd love to see it.
Backtracking to the Clone Wars episode, and I don't know why I've never noticed this. What rank is Anakin?
General.
But they wouldn't make him a Jedi Master? He's a general, but they...
Well, all Jedis are generals, I think.
I don't know. Because I don't know if the Padawans are considered... Because usually the Padawans are going side by side with the Master.
Ahsoka wasn't technically... Remember when she first showed up, she was... Even when she was 14 or whatever, the first episode she was in, she was telling the clones, well, I'm in charge. And then they were like, well, experience means more than rank.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, Jedis are in charge of clones. There's no Jedis going to be under... Yeah.
That I agree with, but I wonder if there's, like, a sergeant. You know what I mean? like obviously, I think that like, the Padawan is ahead of the clone in terms of rank.
Yeah.
But it does seem like there would need to be a differentiation between...
I think when you start leading your own... Because I think Ahsoka had her own faction eventually.
Well, I think she does. She's going to in this.
Now, okay.
But yeah, no, I did notice that because, you know, they were calling each other general back and forth, and I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, they're all generals. Just fucking generals everywhere.
Yeah, I'm gonna pay attention to that.
You know, my favorite general is the Dollar General. I wish there was one closer to my house.
But I speaking of which, like if we look at like the Voltron Legendary Commander, whatever it is, the Netflix show,
Legendary Heroes, I believe is what it's called.
Legendary Heroes. So take that. Take what else has been in the same pocket recently?
Well, I think that She-Ra's on like season 3, I think.
And
I didn't realize that had happened.
Frank said he likes She-Ra too, and I was like, oh, nice.
That upcoming He-Man show.
Which one?
Yeah, good point.
I thought they canceled one of them.
Maybe, but I don't know.
It's hard to say. I know the Kevin Smith thing's still happening.
Yeah, that's the one I'm most interested in anyway. But like I would hope that they'll have a toy line that Mattel would capitalize on that. But I don't feel like at any point, and not even being the biggest fan, I don't feel like Legendary Hero was ever pushing a product.
No, there wasn't even that many toys as far as I can tell. There was like a couple figures, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean they did the Lions.
They did the Lion set
in a couple different sizes.
Yeah,
but it wasn't a big push for toys.
So I wonder if we even need that anymore. Like what Hasbro has kind of done with trying to sell the product by the media. I feel like ultimately Voltron is in the same space in order to sell merchandise, but they don't need to do it in the show. The show is enough on its own. I wonder if the philosophy of that has gotten to a point that surpassed that sort of marketing.
So think about it this way. All right, 1984, Transformers comes out, and it, I don't know how it works. I'm assuming that your local, Fox affiliate buys that show, and then they run advertising during it, and then Fox Channel makes that. So now there's no push for the advertising dollar.
Right.
So and I don't know how all this works. Who knows? I'm assuming there's like, all right, we're ordering 12 of this show, and we're going to pay you $500,000 per episode. I don't know how it works, or based on this algorithm that we can't explain to anybody.
Right.
Here's how much money you make. So I think it's a different you're exactly right. It's a different philosophy based on the way it is consumed.
Yeah, like like Prime's trailer as a kid, right? Like the flap, you can open up and then the cars can come out, and like he does that in the show. So the show is showing you what the toy can do. But I don't feel like they need to do that. I don't feel like that the society is in that space anymore.
And I'm not sure if all these shows are catering to the same age group. Yes, kids for sure, but adults too. Like for Voltron, I love Voltron. I think like the show, the story and stuff is so good. Its merits makes you want the figures instead of just like them showing you the lions are cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I think we might be in that place.
You get more connection to something with substance.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to see when that does come out, if it's viewable on the kids channel through YouTube, Netflix, or if it's because you can log in through a kids channel and not everything's available.
Right.
And some of it's surprising that's not available. But you look at the rating, you're like, oh well, I guess that makes sense. Right. So it'd be interesting to see where they're going to let that land.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to watch it. I'm gonna
watch it. What do you guys think of it graphically speaking?
I need to look at it again. I didn't get a good look. I watched it on my phone.
It looks dated to me.
It does look
Maybe
dated
I'm
to
like
me too.
Spoiled by all the good looking.
Also,
so they said in the press release, it's the same studio that did Prime, I guess.
Oh, really?
I think that's what they said.
I feel like Prime looks better.
Yeah.
Who knows? And they'll probably tune. It may have been rough,
but I like a lot of the rendering atmosphere stuff. Like there's dust and fog and ambiance.
And they showed some stills from it, and it's almost got like a what I always loved about Clone Wars is like you can see like the brushstrokes where they've. It almost looked like the Transformers. And I need to watch it again once again. Like I said, I watched it on my phone. It was pretty dark, and I couldn't really see a lot of what was going on. But it looks like it's a new take on the animation at least.
And I mean, I know they're trying to match the toy aesthetic, but as a result, I do feel like they are a little chunkier than they need to be.
They are, yeah.
And where it doesn't seem like some of the movements of it, I had a hard time believing.
Right, that's what I mean. That's what I'm talking about.
So they did say that they animated based off the CAD of the toys.
Yeah,
they started.
Brink was saying that like the cartoons that have like 5mm ports in their arms and shit. You know what I mean? Like, so like that makes sense to me. When you say that.
I'm just glad our G1 cartoon wasn't Optimus Prime scooting with his arms out like this. That's all I can do, boys, is scoot my boot.
Yeah, that would have been a nightmare.
I have to transform to roll out across the room because I can't walk.
So more Battinson images. Now you weren't here last week.
I'm up to speed.
What do you think of this design? Have you seen these new images?
I've seen the bike stuff.
Have you seen it? Yes, and have you seen him fall on the bike?
No.
Okay, so that's pretty great. Cody just sent it to me this morning. I'll bring that up real quick.
So I think he looks good from the neck down.
Yes, I do too. So here's the. Why isn't this?
Damn.
Hey, hate to see it.
Yeah, I mean, he might have learned how to ride for this. And it's wet outside. Yeah. I mean, no, there's a lot of and he's wearing this fucking ridiculous costume.
Of course. But I hope it's not a prophecy of what's to come.
Maybe that's maybe that's purposeful. Maybe it's Alfred showing him how to ride a bike or something.
Maybe.
You never learned how to take your training wheels off, Master Bruce.
Nice. But I'm with you. I think everything looks great but the cow.
Neck up.
I don't mind. I mean, it's got a lot of vibes of a lot of the costumes that they've used over the years. It's kind of got a collar a little bit, and I don't hate that.
No, I like the collar.
I don't dislike any of it. I mean, I don't know how.
Do you feel like he has a little beluga?
Yes.
Head a little bit.
I mean, I don't know. Is
he beluga man?
Beluga. That's what he's going to be. He's going to shoot water or something.
Yeah. or maybe it's just like a helmet. There's a metal plate in there. That's why it's...
Yeah, but
I would have a metal plate in my helmet, wouldn't you?
If they say that, it would make it an easier pill to... And I mean, that doesn't mean that I think the movie's going to be bad or that I think that he's going to do a bad job. Any of that.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to seeing what they do here.
I'm never not looking forward to Batman.
And my hope is that it has legs that they can build. I mean, look, he's going to be Twilight Batman forever. There's no way that I'm not going to call him that. But
or Battinson.
Battinson. I like Twilight Batman. I just want some glitter on him. I just hope they build a decent world. I guess I'll say that because it's something completely different from what the last one was, although that universe is still around, I guess, through Wonder Woman and the Birds of Prey.
Did they change the name of Birds of Prey?
So somebody said they did. They took out that whole.
Yeah, they made it a Harley movie.
Well,
what is it called?
No, it's still called. I think it's Birds of Prey now, and not Birds of Prey.
The Emancipation.
I thought it was Harley Birds of Prey.
I'm going to look it up on Fandango.
Fandango.
Because I think it's too late for that. For one, I also think the fact that they didn't see that as a possible fucking problem I don't even know where to begin.
It's creators bring up their own asses.
Yeah. I mean, it's. What is it? Well, here it still as Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Yeah. Was it that? Was it all that?
Yeah, it was all that. That was the original title.
The original title.
But I don't know why I thought it was in the Emancipation of Harley Quinn. It was the Fantabulous of the one. Okay,
you're thinking of the Emancipation of Mimi.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's what I'm thinking of. But yeah, I just.
Well, look, and this shows it as Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey.
So, that's the new one.
Oh, okay.
I guess
it's been replaced. So,
yeah.
Even though it doesn't really fucking matter. I guess it'll matter on your DVD box, Bobby.
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's a better title for that film. Having seen it, that's a better title.
And then Sonic is doing great.
Yes.
Well,
I heard it's good. I mean, they listened to the audience. They changed the fucking graphics, and it was too late for cats.
Here's the audience. All right, so the Rotten Tomato, the critic and audience score for Birds of Prey is the same.
Which is?
Take a guess.
50? 80. 80. I'm going to guess 80.
65.
78.
Oh, I'm close as fuck. Pretty good.
This is why I don't understand the world I live in anymore.
Well, yeah. It's not our world anymore, Bobby.
It's not.
The war has moved past us.
Dude. The emancipation of one Bobby Skullface.
I mean, if you're at the age where if you turn your head too fast, your neck hurts, it's not your world anymore.
Dude, talk about it.
So here's the note. On February 10th, it was reported that the film was being displayed under the title Harley Quinn, Birds of Prey, on the websites for AMC, Cinemark, and Regal. According to Screen Rant, the name change was mandated by Warner Brothers. However, the Wrap subsequently reported that, quote, an individual with knowledge of the studio denied that Warner Brothers had revised the title and quoted Adam Tickett's Somebody explanation that the new listing was apparently for display and search purposes only for vendors and theaters, not an official title change.
Gotcha.
In its second week, it fell 48%, finishing behind Sonic the Hedgehog. And then the third week, it dropped another 59%. So it'll be on Netflix next Tuesday, probably.
That score needs to drop 50%.
You know, I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard some people say they enjoyed it. I mean, I have a feeling I'll enjoy it.
Yeah, some people enjoy it.
You know, fun romp kind of vibes.
So I listened to the Weekly Planet's breakdown of it, and they liked it.
Yeah.
You know, but
I also
know a lot of people don't like it.
A DC
oh, no. They're he's at Mr. Sunday Movies. He's like a big
okay. Yeah. I got you.
I mean, that's why my initial reaction was 50% when you asked, because it's so split between people I've talked to. But then I was like, wait, I mean, just thinking about the general world nowadays, 80 is probably right.
Then again, I don't know hardly anybody that did go see it, but the people who did, some said that it was good, and then some were like, what a waste of time.
Yeah, I can't. It's my least favorite DC film. It might
worse than Jonah Hex.
Yes,
worse than the bad Green Lantern.
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
For me, because at least in the bad Green Lantern, I got my fucking Sinestro speech, which did satisfy something.
Yeah.
Do the race car. Why did they do the race car in the Green? You remember that he made like
the track and everything.
So
at least they didn't do the race card.
All right.
Just the tip.
So here we go. Next note is DC drama. So Dan DiDio was fired. He's been the head of DC since before I can remember.
Stuttering Stanley.
Since before I can remember. But I've always liked him. He always comes to he's always come to Baltimore, He'll talk to people like he's never had like a Hollywood vibe about him. Like he's always seemed like kind of down to earth, and he even answered like I threw a shot at him one time at like a panel. He's like, "Does anybody have any questions?" And I was like, "Could you explain Infinite Crisis to me? Because I don't get it." And he was like, "You got to get the tie-in stuff." That was his answer. But you know what? He was right, because I bought the omnibus and I understood it. And you know what I mean? But at least like he could even see it in his face. Like maybe we didn't put enough meat on that bone in the proper book.
Go buy this $80 book.
right. You're gonna love it.
You're gonna love it.
Take my word for it.
Here's a coupon.
Yeah. So I've never had a problem with him. I mean, I do think DC has rebooted more than they have needed to, and it's made the world. I think they've tried to make it more accessible for new people, but I think
it's like kind of like the movies, they've just rebooted too much.
Well, in some ways, I think it's made it harder. It's made it harder for me to buy in. You know, like I like Legacy. That's my personal preference. But like, New 52 was a reboot. Fucking Doomsday Clock is a reboot. Like it's a lot.
Rebirth was in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think that is the Doomsday Clock thing, to be fair. But yes, it's like I think it's an attempt to grab a new audience. But I remember when I got into DC, half of the fun of it was it's like getting into a musician, right? It's like
going through the back catalog.
Yeah, I got this whole back catalog to dig into that counts.
And now you have to say, now hang on, this happened. What does this count for? It's very confusing.
Yeah, it's like does the Amazing Spider-Man 2, does that matter anymore?
Right.
You know?
Exactly. I mean, that's my problem with comics in general. But, I mean,
but DC wasn't known for that.
I mean, because
over the past 10 years, they've done it 3 times.
Well, that's the thing. 80 years of publishing.
Yeah.
3 reboots in like the past 10.
Yeah, that's crazy.
You know, like that's the problem.
And I can see how they were probably looking at sales and then through things that were just stale and. You know, what are we gonna do with this guy? You know, Blue Beetle. What can we possibly do to jazz?
You know
up
what
the
people like? They like a number one.
They do.
You know, I bet you that was. I bet you that was said in some capacity at that table.
Mm-hmm. We sell more number ones than we do of anything. Let's just do a new number one every year.
Yep. Like I'd much rather see. I mean, Marvel tried it and it eventually failed, but like. I'd much rather them do like they're doing with this Damned stuff, like Batman Damned and all. Like, just make a darker universe. Yeah. If you need to start over somewhere, or a brighter universe, whatever you want. You know what I mean? Whatever you want to do, but make it its separate thing and keep the main line as the main line. And then
I like this strategy. 2020, we're going to tell this story. So it's Supergirl 2020, 12 issues.
And every year we reset.
Every year. So it's...
Oh, it doesn't even have to be every year. When the story comes to an end, let it end instead of drag it out.
Yeah, but I think saying, all right, you have 12 issues to tell your story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then maybe he's like, we're going to switch creators every 12 years. We're going to every 12 years, every year.
Yeah, every year.
That's,
but that's
shuffle
not,
it up.
That in and of itself is not super uncommon.
I mean,
but they're not starting over every year.
Sure. Yeah, just quit numbering the damn books and just say it, or it's 2021, 2020, issue 2, 20, and just pile them up like that.
Yeah.
And then at the end of the year, if you didn't want to buy the Lucy's,
you get the
in
trade.
January, put the trade out.
Yeah, but but it just isolates everything. You know, I mean, once again, like when I was getting into it, part of the allure for me was that everything was connected, and there was so like MCU almost. You know, like and you can enjoy just this movie and this movie or whatever, but if you watch. Daredevil, maybe it enhances that a bit.
Right.
Or if you watch S.H.I.E.L.D. or whatever the case may be.
But there's a limit in time of longevity of... I mean, there's just a limit, I think.
I don't know.
Of something that keeps going on long enough. I mean, isn't that the problem? That the creative, well-run strive for one particular character or another, and then it seems to either get stagnant or they throw a wrench in there to shake things up, but then it fucks with things that already happened in the past.
Well, see, I think that
like say 80 years, like 80 years of one guy's stories. How are you going to keep that shit going?
But my argument is that within that 80 years, you did 70 of it right. It was only when you started not doing that you created a problem.
I mean, why? If there wasn't a problem, why did they have to? If there wasn't a problem, why did they reboot?
Well, I think
was it going well?
So I think that
maybe it wasn't going well.
So I think sales wise they don't. I was just reading this thing. I'll bring it up, but I think that what you're saying is right, but it's on the other side of that where it's like they were creatively bankrupt. That's why they rebooted.
Yes.
But what they needed to do was just find the next Jeff Johns who looked at something and was like, "Oh, you guys haven't even explored this shit." Like that energy. Like, I mean, the classic example that I always bring up is that Dark Knight bias. Blackest Night stuff, where it's like this guy's been saying this shit for fucking 60 years, and Brightest Day and Darkest Night, that whole bit. And he looked at that and said, well, why hasn't any of that happened?
Right.
It's like, oh shit, we could do that. Like, or Blackest Night, like that's what you need, is somebody to like find the unexplored. But it's like, I think that sometimes these people, it's almost like politics, where they get into this shit. They're there for fucking ever, and then everybody's worried about bringing in new blood to kind of revitalize. But when you look back through the history, it's always the new blood that makes the big impact, and then the new blood becomes the old. It's almost like a promotional process. Like the creators should become the execs and then retire, and bring in the next wave of creators that become the next wave of execs and then retire.
Yeah, it's just building a bench. I mean, you look at where Jim Lee is. I don't know how Jim Lee will shake out in this.
Yeah,
he's a co-publisher now for DC, I believe.
Yeah, well, they said there's like that. Did you read that thing? It was pretty funny. That
I did not.
It's like an Onion type of thing.
Yeah, as he wakes up after a 4-day nap, and he's in charge.
Dude, look at these Star Wars 3 3/4 cosplays.
Those are cool.
It's awesome.
Accurate.
Anyway, like apparently, I guess Liefeld has some big fucking beef.
He's doing the new G.I. Joe comic. Did you see that?
I did not.
Liefeld's doing the new G.I. Joe Snake Eyes book.
But he tweeted out like some crazy DC rumors right now. Boom, the DiDio out. Breaking DC Comics, or this, that. And he's like, yes, Dan DiDio was holding DC back for years. This is the best outcome. Long overdue. What took so long? So much damage. So many bad decisions. He sounds like Trump. What do you even start? Horrible management for years. And then Dan replied to him eventually and just said, "You're classless." And he said, "Okay, Dan, I'm buying the least amount of DC Comics in my life. At least 50% of the reason is the way DiDio reshaped them. Awful. So glad he's been removed. I speak as a consumer. I'm an established comic book veteran of 34. He can't wait to say that shit. Barely interact with DC Comics, and I could buy every book if I chose to. Flex on him, Rob. You could buy way more comic books than you normally do.
I've got $4 all day long, every day.
Good thing someone was listening. Maybe it was Marvel beating them regularly by 15%. All this shit. So there's this news that AT&T is closing DC Comics if 5G fails.
Dude,
which is very fucking confusing because that's the new cell phone.
Yeah,
technology.
I was thinking that, and it's AT&T. I'm like, wait, what does the cell phone service have to do with AT&T?
Well, and I had to dig into it. So it's the Generation 5 is what it
another
is.
reboot, right?
Yes, another reboot. That's apparently
I'll
going to
fix it.
Kill off a bunch of I think it's going to kill off Clark Kent and Bruce Wayne and bring in new people to be those roles. And
I think that's an attempt at a new movie universe.
Yeah.
But so this guy's been saying we're watching the end of DC Comics in real time and all this shit, and he goes on and on and on. But then somebody else came out in response to that, and Jamal Yassim, and he said, folks, Warner Brothers, AT&T makes $5 billion a year on DC Comics-related merchandise and licensing. It costs them less than $10 million to run the company in an industry with annual print sales of $1 billion. DC Comics is not going to shut down. It's an IP factory whose movies have generated billions of dollars, whose television series are in the top 5 ratings for their respective time slots. They sell millions of dollars in toys, T-shirts, merchandise based on these comics. It's not going anywhere.
They'll make enough money if you just sell Batman shirts forever.
Right. And I never thought they're going to just put all this in the archives and we'll never see a Bat character.
Right.
No, it would never be that. But they might stop making the Blue Beetle. They might stop. Supergirl might not get a name title.
Right.
Get down to your core business, Superman, Batman, basically the Justice League and associated properties. And then they've got... their little niche they do with that. What's that side brand they have? It's more of a creator comics.
Vertigo.
But it's not called that anymore. It's something else. Like that one they have the TV show on. What's it called? Doom Patrol. That kind of stuff. Maybe I don't know. comics are so different now than they were when we were kids, and I think part of that is they need to figure out their place. Yeah, your tights and flights, but how far are you going to take that? How much are you going to put into these characters, or you just want it to be Batman punching people in the mouth?
Well, if what he's saying is true, that the publishing end of it is bringing in $1 billion, and it costs less than $10 million to run the company.
That's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Money.
If you're 15% behind Marvel, that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean,
all that matters is profit.
Right. At this point, the two biggest comic book companies in the world are owned by the two biggest movie studios in the world. I think.
Yeah, I would imagine.
At least, top 3 or 4 at least.
Yeah.
So you could probably say the same thing on the Marvel side. I don't know how many Marvel books they're selling compared to Iron Man masks and blasters and T-shirts. It's a method to get where you need to go, but I just don't know how much longer the print media will be something that we get.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not going to go away. It'd be consumed differently.
Exactly. And I think that even if the publishing went away, I mean, you're still going to be able to get your Batman socks anytime you want.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
We did get a nice write-in this week. Did you read it by chance?
Mm-mm. Haven't had time.
So I don't know if this dude wants his name out there because it does get personal. So I'm going to I'm not going to at him, as it were. He says, "Hey guys, sorry for breaking up the usual shenanigans and questions, but I wanted to slow it down a bit and get romantic. Actually, I wanted to let you know how much what you guys do means to me. I discovered Bobby's YouTube channel a few years back when I was going through some difficult times. I had recently sold my entire collection of toys, including all of my G1 Transformers, some of which I had since I was a kid. I sold them to pay bills, as I have 5 daughters, 4 back then, and didn't see a way of making it paycheck to paycheck anymore without the extra cash. Eventually, life and jobs got better, but as you know, a family of 7 is pretty costly for a regular middle-class guy. Toys and hobbies for Dad were always on the back burner. I carried with me almost a resentment at times, as every penny I made was used to pay for dance, gymnastics, soccer, cheerleading, etc. Dude, I get it. And I just feel like fucking schools are asking me for $5 to $10 every time I turn around. They fucking nickel and dime me. Like,
just let me write you a check at the beginning of the year and don't bother me.
Yes, please.
I'd rather do that.
The reason Bobby's videos were so special to me was that I could live vicariously through him and others, imagining all of the neat shit to buy. About 2 years ago, after harboring these feelings for several years, I decided and wanted to do some things to make me feel happy. Hobby-wise again, I bought a cheap IKEA shelf and started a small masterpiece collection. Every month I would get a few new things. Kept branching into other nostalgic things, Marvel, DC, G.I. Joe, etc. As the collection grew, I would always follow along with fellow collectors, buying a fraction of the items usually others could afford, but always relying on people's reviews and using those to make my key purchases. As my collection has grown, I have once again found joy in the hobby and pastime, which has brought me a lot of happiness and has allowed me to share that happiness with my daughters. One of them likes Transformers, helps me unbox new masterpieces. One likes the Avengers and listens to me tell old comic book stories if I buy a graded comic or trade paperback. Another likes transforming my DX9 Dinobots. I've been able to share my hobby and collection with my children, which I never thought would happen. The reason for all of this is because of you guys. You made it cool to love your hobbies no matter what that might be. The perception that people that collect toys are virgins living in their parents' basement is gone, and I never realized this from you guys. If I never realized this from you guys, I may have never been really happy again for a while. I listen every week to a group of pretty cool guys, and imagine I'm right there with you discussing all the cool shit being released. Since there's a ton of people in my area that I've discovered that enjoy the same things, since there's not a ton of people in my area that enjoy the same things, listening to the podcast makes me feel right at home. When it's all said and done and you guys are done with Nerd Rage, YouTube, and everything else, you can always know you changed one person's life more than you could imagine. I remember a while back listening to a video where someone asked Bobby if he could go back and meet anyone in history. He said he would go back and tell his younger self that everything's going to be okay, because that's what he needed to hear at that time. 6 years ago, when I had to get rid of a lot of things that mattered a great deal to me and nobody around me would have understood that, you guys did, even though you didn't know it. You let me know it was okay to be a mid-30s regular guy who loved reminiscing about his childhood through his toy collection, and that matters more than you'll ever know. And I guarantee there are a lot more people like me that you have touched that will forever be as grateful as I am. Anyhow, enough of the corny shit. Keep doing what you guys are doing, as it really is important to a lot of people. Just know that for every douchebag and troll in a comment section, there are 10 more that may be a silent majority that you really reach. Thanks for everything and all the time you guys put into this. So,
wow, that's powerful stuff.
Very nice, man.
Yeah, that's nice to hear.
And I'll say that I often ponder my existence in the world we live in, and we do this show, and then I do, Monday nights with the Realm, and it's a chore sometimes to, like, God, this morning, like, oh, I gotta go, it seems like a chore, but hearing that really makes you appreciate the position we're in to impact people's lives. I know that's a big pill to swallow, but it's true, man.
I never think about just how many people, or if anybody, is listening to us. Like, I enjoy having the conversation with you guys, and like you said, sometimes it does feel like I'm working a lot. I'm like, oh, I wish I one day didn't have to wake up or whatever. But like by the time I get here, I'm like, I fucking love it being here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it to me, stuff like that keeps me motivated too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Because you do get, it's the squeaky wheel, right?
Mm-hmm.
So like when you're inundated with negative shit all the time, it's like you just feel like everything that you don't look at the thumbs up. You don't look at, that the video was viewed so many times or that the podcast was downloaded so many times. All you see are these like 2 comments, and you're just like, oh fuck, everybody hates it. Why am I wasting my time?
Yeah, like all the time and effort you put into it, and all you're doing is getting shit on.
Yeah,
It's like not worthwhile. Right?
And you're and like, to bring it back to the beginning of the show, full circle, it's not costing you anything. Mm-hmm. Like that's the thing it's a big thing. Like if you buy something, like I do toy reviews where I say don't buy this, but it costs you $160. You know what I mean? If it was like, look, they're handing these out. If you just give them a high five, I'm like, dude, this is worth the high five. Yeah. Sometimes that shit, it just wears me down. And I've been talking about it recently that it's been fucking wearing me down again. And I'm not sure why, but it has been. And so it's nice. It's a breath of fresh air to get those positive things, where you do feel like what you're doing is being appreciated in some regard. Yeah,
and it's just like I would never guess that, it impacts someone so much just listening to this bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Because before you guys, I lived in a bubble too.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I always thought fine with it because I was always pretty much alone. But I always felt like there aren't many of us. Like I'll probably never find people like me that's into this stuff. Like I mean, I go to conventions and stuff, but not with the spending all this money on toys and really loving it and playing with it. And
yeah, I mean,
I thought it was like like when you watch like Hoarders. Oh, there's probably only just 10 people in the world that like that. But having found channels and listening and watching, it's like, oh, that's a lot of us I didn't even know about.
And I think that another thing that he says in there that I do feel like we've had an impact on in some regard is that, like, I mean, it was part of the reason. I mean, when we decided to make the podcast network, it was you that said we should call it the Cool Table, which was something I always had in my video at the end. But I this sounds pretentious. I don't mean it to be. Trust me, I'm full of self-hate if you want to dig any deeper. But I do feel like we did change the temperature of it. Like before us, a lot of the personalities affiliated with the genre kind of fit a stereotype.
Even the popular ones.
Correct.
Yep. You're 100% correct.
And that we did help change that temperature and be like, no, you can be fucking regular and cool, fucking, decent. Not to say they're not cool in their own way. I'm not trying to shit on anybody here, but just to say that, like,
not the stereotypical.
Yeah. The idea that we'll take PL, right? For an example. And I like PL. I'm quite fond of him. And I've had great conversations with him. And it was a pleasure meeting him. And he's a super cool dude in the sense that, like, he doesn't take himself too seriously, But, like, I can't imagine bumping into him at the bar.
Right.
You know what I mean? Where, like, I feel like we could all be bumped into at a bar somewhere. Like, and I do feel like we changed that.
The stereotype. Like, yeah. Before that, I mean, as a younger self, I definitely had felt a stigma to it. Like I did, even like when I went to Games Workshop, when I went to the Warhammer stuff, I'm like, I don't associate with. I don't feel like I'm one of those people, quote unquote. I'm like, man, those guys are like different. Yeah. Like, I feel more normal, so to speak, and like I would. And I've thought, like, well, I would never find someone who was like me, who's just a normal dude working, girlfriend, regular life, but really likes this stuff.
Yeah.
I remember before I found the Realm and Skullface and everything, I was basically on an island by myself because I collected stuff, but I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't know anybody, and Instagram kind of just wandering through Instagram, like, oh God, other people. Oh God, there's other people collecting this stuff. And that it was a nice feeling, and then meeting people in person, and basically my entire friend set now is based around people I've met through this hobby, and I have conversations all the time with people that I've met through this hobby that have nothing to do with the hobby, which is, I remember saying this the first. It was the TF Con in Chicago, the first one. We were all piled up in that 2-bed bedroom hotel room that me and Dust had, and I was just kind of, you were there, and Adam was there,
yeah.
And I was just kind of listening, and I'm like, there's 7 conversations going on, but nobody's talking about toys. I'm like, this is we've built it,
chilling,
yeah. And I look at now like, I say this joking, but. Everybody does a podcast now,
right.
Which is
true.
Which is great because that means the foundation that was laid through you and through us starting into the realm 5 years ago and Chattercast 6-7 years ago, how long ago, has created such a comfort with everybody that they're wanting to express themselves in their own way, which is great.
Yeah,
and I think that's kind of hard to quantify that what's happened, but. It doesn't happen like that. The world doesn't normally work this way.
Right. When I started a lot of the stuff I was doing, I wanted to start it because there wasn't enough out there for me. You know what I mean? Like I was like, I want something like this. And then now to see shout out to the Nerds Have Spoken podcast, which is like the latest one of our circle that has popped up. But like now, I don't think one can consume it all.
No, it's impossible.
It's too much.
I need someone to. I need Cliff Notes.
Well,
I need to highlight. I need the show Talk Soup. It's just called the Soup now.
Yeah.
I need someone to do the soup of all of our friends' podcasts.
You make that joke, but
I know I do. I need it.
But it's like But that is the beauty of it. Is now like it went from nothing to your cup runneth over. Whatever you want, there's something for it.
Absolutely,
which is cool. So thank you for that. We did have one question. We may have already kind of tapped into it though. He said, "This is from Yakbat." He said, "Having surprisingly liked Cyberverse and fully understanding this will not happen, but what if the Transformers was given a proper American 4th season, maybe even beyond, with as much as the original cast as possible, aside from the needed slight tone shift needed as we're older now? What would you like the series to be like? How should the continuity be handled? Should it adapt the Japanese series heavily or more like IDW or completely new?" And I think, I don't know how you guys feel, but I do think that a reboot for Transformers is necessary. Like, I think that it should start over. I don't think there's any sense in picking up 84 Transformers continuity-wise.
Yeah, I mean, the rhythm they're in now is they do three. It's like a trilogy. They do the Unicron trilogy, and then I guess the Combiner Wars trilogy, and we're into another one now.
But I mean, I think that like it's a fresh blood, but it needs to really resonate with an audience again. And I'm not sure that Transformers has really, really resonated with an audience since Beast Wars.
Yeah.
The
Beast Wars was probably last time because you don't have diehard fanatics of anything else other than G1 and Beast Wars. I feel like
like a lot of G1 people will throw Prime in as like a nod because it's like a decent done show and it's it's good, but like I don't think it resonates. I don't think there's a generation, and I might be wrong, and I'll be the first one to admit it if I am. But in 20 years from now, if Prime means as much to that generation as G1 meant to us, and as Beast Wars I think meant to them, I'm just not sure if they've ever lit that candle again. So I think a reboot is the right thing to do. Yeah. We're at 2 hours. Go ahead.
I think Palsy has. If you look back far enough, he dropped the question right after we finished last week.
Oh, okay.
February 18th.
Palsy. Okay, 2 questions. So we've established that back in the day, Top Gun was the movie everyone would use to test out, show off their surround sound movie setup. What's the new Top Gun? What do you pop in to do a little flexing? Or if you don't do any of that, what do you use to test that everything is set up properly? The lobby scene from The Matrix is always good. So I don't have that yet.
You have a theater.
Yes, but I don't have the sound for it yet. It's on my list. And I might be able to do it because I'm now officially out of debt. The debt that began buying food for Skullfest last year,
holy shit,
is now clear. But what is it that what is it that would be? I'll tell you what mine is to test the sound. If one day when I get my sound thing, which you can get now, You just get a bar or some shit, and it's supposed to be the
Yeah, you
shit.
get it.
surround
Well,
sound,
like
yeah.
we have a bar and a subwoofer, and I think it sounds great.
Yeah.
And it's
So-
perfect in your square room because you can
Right.
like,
Yeah. So I should just go ahead and bite the bullet on that. It's just another fucking thing to set up and sync and fucking link it with your fucking. Okay, so
At least is one thing. You're not setting up 8 speakers.
true.
Right. You
True.
don't have to have the
True.
the tweeters up high. and all
True.
that.
True. Okay. It is from Attack of the Clones. It's the Boba Fett or the Jango Fett Slave One chasing.
Boom.
Yep.
Yeah,
Chasing the
that's a good
Obi-Wan
one.
shit with those like sonic charges.
Sonic charges. That, I think
that
would sound really neat.
that
and a
would
good
be my
system.
go-to for a test.
That's a good question. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know if it's a good. I don't remember if the sound is important to it, but like just thinking of like something with sound. There's a V from Vendetta when the first time the explosions go off with the music.
Oh, yeah.
on the rooftop.
Yeah.
I feel like that would be neat because you get the fucking classical music,
Yeah.
and then explosions at the same time.
Yeah, there's a lot of variance there in
Yep.
terms of what you're judging sonically.
I think this is probably a pick for people too, in more of a modern era than Top Gun is Saving Private Ryan.
Oh,
yeah.
That's
Yes.
probably the
That's
right
it.
answer.
That's it.
Because it's
The first 10 minutes.
and it's very well done as well.
Yeah,
the
that's
sounds mixed
probably
brilliantly.
the right answer. But I'll tell you, just so people know how unbiased I can be, I'll tell you what else I would consider is the final in-game fight, like the big battle at the end. Like
Yeah.
that would be a consideration for me to test something out. So yeah, and then I think that's it. I haven't.
There's a second question.
Oh no, you're right. God damn it, Joe.
He's just trying to skip my fellow yellow.
No. Next question. Pick a beloved to you film franchise or television franchise. Let's say that you have been given the reins to it and are in charge of keeping that franchise going. You have free reign to do whatever you want to do with it. Do you cast your friends in it alongside the actual actors, or do you pick only the greatest actors so that you could objectively get the best product? You guys can each come up with your franchise, or you can come to a consensus. For the purposes of this question, if there are multiple media avenues for your franchise, all of the other avenues will continue. If you pick Star Wars, for example, the cartoons, toys, etc., will still carry on. Paul C. So I'm going to tell you, I would run that fucking thing right into the ground because I would fire everybody and only hire my friends. With the exception of you doing the set design, it would be fucking not one professional in the fucking room. It would all be guys. It would all
You have
be
to do the miniatures.
Yeah,
Like back in the
We'd
day.
shoot it with miniatures. Yeah.
I would ruin it. I would ruin it because I am that person. I want to see everybody like that's with me. Like, now if you're not, I could care less. But like if I would put everybody in as many positions, but I don't know who's like the dumbest of us. Gary, and I mean that lovingly.
I was going to say you could find Black Phillip somewhere and
there you go.
give him something to do.
But they'd be like, "What's Gary doing?" I'd be like, "He's our PR guy." So like that's what I would do. It'd be like, case in point, Gary got a lot of criticism on this past week's show. I'm definitely gonna have him on again. Because I'm
It's your show.
it's my well. No, it's not even that. It's just that I want my friends involved. You know what I mean? Everything I've done has been that way. I mean, when I used to throw parties in the city in my early 20s, like Shoulders was my security. Like Adam was my security. Like it was everybody that I could get that was in a position if I could. To varying extents. Like Adam was more of a case by case scenario just because of a lot of logistics. But Shoulders was always there, always with the team of guys or whatever. Like it was always a matter of putting people that I knew and trying to find what they were skilled at in some way and making them a part of it. I can't imagine hiring people I don't know. I would get a lawsuit.
Based on resumes.
I would get a lawsuit. He only hires his friends. Taking them to court.
You didn't name. You never named a franchise. I can just assume it's Star
Annie.
Wars.
Yeah, Annie. But yeah, I would love to do. I'd probably ruin that fucking too. But I honestly, you know what? I think I would prefer to do Transformers because I think I see something in it. I think that Milne sees something, not Milne. Roberts sees something in it. that is deeper than the surface, you know, and I would like to take a stab at it.
I mean, we're talking about acting in a show, like having friends have parts in the show. I mean, I would have everyone in, but not everyone's gonna have a speaking line.
Well, what's your?
I don't really know, because mostly I like anime. So, and shows that I watch
voice acting.
Yeah, well,
Bobby can do that one noise for you.
Ooh, that's it.
It's kind of Michael Jackson-y. Did you say it like that? Shamon.
And you like that? But and shows that I do watch are great. Anyway, I don't think I could do a better job. But yeah, I would have my friends in like as extras, and certain friends like I would have Bobby have speaking parts, but like I wouldn't trust everyone to have a speaking part or an acting part. Some people are probably like, even me, I don't think it'd be like, oh, just act natural as a part of the background. Like I wouldn't. I'll be fucking awkward as fuck.
See, I think I could do that. I get asked from time to time with people's like fan film stuff to like voice a character or whatever. And like I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm the right person for this job. Like,
I feel like you could.
You could do it.
If anybody that I know of,
like I feel like I could do me. You know what I mean? Like, if you're like, look, here's a character in my show. It's you. It's just his name is something else. Can you do that? I'd be like, yeah, I can do that. But like they'd be like, no, okay, so you're a teenager that was, you know, whatever, and I'm like, I don't think I would do a good job.
You know, I often thought about, you know, the process of voice acting, and then, you know, you being in a room full of people doing these ridiculous voices. But I guess probably the first time you do it, it's a little bit harrowing. But after that, you're like, everybody's talking like this. That's pretty easy. Oh yeah. Mine would be a show that I love. It's not very widely known. Came on USA for quite a while. Burn Notice.
I like Burn Notice. Yes.
So I'd love to have the reins of that and bring it back and cast you guys as the bad guys. and I'd bring the cast back that they had. I love the cast they had.
Can you make me a ninja?
Sure, you could be his bodyguard. Yeah.
I'm not sure how I feel about that, Joe. I feel like you're culturally appropriating.
I don't want to be the ninja. That's the thing.
Fine.
There'll be the running joke. It's like
Bobby's a ninja.
Yes,
he's a clumsy ninja.
Yeah, they would kill me on Twitter.
No, I'll be the guy that they'd be like, oh, he's gonna do some kicks. I'm like, no martial arts skills whatsoever.
You just pull out a gun. Bang bang.
The anti-stereotype.
That should be your anime that you create. That should be what it's called.
And like, if someone would ask me a math question, I'll be like, 2.5.
Get a calculator, bro.
I have a good discussion, but I think I'm going to save it because we have a good show. I think I'll just bank it. I think it would take longer, and I think we could go places.
Okay.
But I think I'll bank it for next time, depending on the news next week.
Yeah, depending on. We'll have to talk about next week's schedule after this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. All right. So with that being said, shout out to the rest of the cool table. Shattercast Uncut, Enter the Realm, Stasis Lock, Building Up to It, Fresh Communication, Breaking the Mold, Verbally Challenged, and shout out to once again to the Nerds Have Spoken, which is friends of ours that have popped up. And
out of nowhere. I know they've kind of slid off the table with their lack of content. Toy Detox put out an episode this past week.
Oh, really?
Well, they posted about it. I didn't.
Let me check. Let me check. I don't have it.
Oh, well, maybe it's only on certain formats. I don't know. I do know they posted something from that account saying that they created content.
Their Podbean account probably expired.
Yeah.
But yeah, you'll link me to it. There's also, I saw, do you guys know who DJ Punch is?
No.
He was, Tekashi's DJ.
Okay.
He has a 2-hour interview on a podcast called No Jumper that published today or recently. And I'm going to be listening to that with great interest. That story is fascinating to me. Also, as a side note, rest in peace to Pop Smoke. So we did an emergency Bobby Boogie Bob episode, as a result of his untimely passing.
I don't even know who this dude is. I'm gonna be honest.
So he's a rapper from Brooklyn. I've been talking a little bit about this Brooklyn Renaissance.
Yes.
Yeah.
So he's kind of at the tip of the spear of that, as it were, and it's probably somehow I'm holding myself responsible. I'll tell you why. Because I love this dude, and I haven't really loved a new artist in years. I like songs. I like this guy's song or that guy's song or whatever. But I like really been like, I'm a fan. Is there a T-shirt? Is there a hoodie? I'm a fan. I was a fan. I am a fan. And they broke into his house, shot and killed him.
I heard some.
Yeah, first they thought it was a robbery. Now they're saying it was a hit because nothing was taken.
So, are you familiar with the Lil Wayne song Mona Lisa?
Yes. Yeah. Well, so there's a lot of.
That's why you don't let them follow you back to your house. You go to a hotel or go to their place, or even then you're going to get burnt.
So I mean,
that's what people in New York told me about what happened. So
it's a sign. I would like to hear more about it, but it's a sign.
That's really it.
It's a sign of the times that day on his social media he was sent these shopping bags from a Miri designer because he shouts them out in a record. So he was going to his place and there were shopping bags waiting for him, like as like a thank you. He was excited. Posted it on his social media. His fucking address is on it. On the bags.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So
I guess don't think they won't run up.
Yep.
Because they will.
Because they will. And but yeah, rest in peace to him. Thoughts and prayers, family and friends, all that kind of stuff. Fucking bummer. 20 years old, that dude.
Oh my God.
Yep. His voice was 65 though.
I mean, his name sounds like an old
Dude, the name is fucking awesome, isn't it?
Yep.
It reminds me of like not that it's the same thing, but there was a famous thing with Jon Stewart talking about Busta Rhymes. He was like, we're gonna have Busta Rhymes on our show today, and he's a rapper. How great is that name? It would be like if my name was Hostess Shows.
Right?
Anyway, shout out to the rest of the Nerd Rage team. Raul on Instagram, Marilyn Phil on Twitter and handling our notes. Dante the Destroyer, who had a birthday this past week, so happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday.
And Manny behind the scenes, Gort and Andy helping me with the Force Friday Force Sensitive stuff, and Esteban handling the Force Sensitive Instagram. And I think that's it. If it's not, I apologize. And with that being said,
Flappy Labius.
Tasty taint.
tight dick player.